meeting.
Ooh,
Ominous.
I'm glad.
I
Need to call
know.
the roll.
We do. Where's Madam Clerk?
Well, she doesn't have to call the roll.
It's all
Want me
theater.
to call your name?
It'll be all right. Okay. All right.
Right.
I'd like to call the meeting to order. Please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Yeah, just in time. Thanks for coming, everyone. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Certainly. Supervisor Moore,
Present.
Councilwoman McNamara.
Present.
Councilman Iacilli, Councilman Pell.
Councilmember Iacilli asked me to let everyone know that he's still testing positive for COVID and he can't be with us today.
Councilman Schiavone.
Present. I hope he feels better.
But I will be, I believe he's going to be watching the live
forgot me.
stream.
Forgot me.
You got
All right,
No,
so
you
we're
forgot me.
gonna-
No, I didn't. I said Councilman Pell.
I never said anything.
Oh, you didn't? Well,
Present.
that's on
You're trying to
you. You need to speak up, but I can see
trigger.
you're physically here, so I don't know that I actually need to hear that one.
All right, we're going to start the morning with a report from our Affirmative Action Task Force. So, Juan Becerra, our HR Director, and members of the task force.
Do you want to mark
Yeah, I'm
these?
going to just
Yeah.
stamp them all. if you don't
She's
mind.
got the copies.
Yeah, thank you.
If you'd like some. Yeah.
Would
Why
like to
don't
come up and
Should
sit?
we
Yeah,
come up and-
yes.
I mean, I don't
We
know
can get
how-
more chairs.
Well, the people who are gonna speak, we're the peripheral people, we'll see.
Okay.
No
people in this room.
Yes, you want to come
We'll
up?
come up and then maybe we'll hang back when
Sure.
everyone else is
Yeah,
introducing themselves.
All right.
Okay.
Why don't, yeah, why don't we have
We have
everybody
plenty of chairs.
introduce?
Yes,
you
we'll
yes,
definitely
or
go
have them
do
introduce
that, yes.
themselves.
Well, good morning, town board.
Juan.
Come on,
Excellent.
Trisha. I don't know, yeah, I don't, but then we'll hang back and then people should come up and introduce themselves.
Yes, yes.
Something I don't think, yeah, I'm not.
Just get
I'm a little less comfortable with my back.
Okay.
All right, Juan.
Okay.
Nice to be here, by the way. Thank you so much. Nice to see everyone.
Yes, thank you for having us, of course. Juan Becerra, the HR Director for the town, and also HR Liaison to our Affirmative Action Task Force. Group of people I've been working with for almost 8 years now, so it's been quite a while. We've done a lot of projects, and I think COVID obviously put a stop to a lot of what we did. 2020 and 2021 nothing going on. 22 was very light, and then last year we kind of started working on some projects again, and we're going to go over them. And but I want to, the rest of the task force to introduce themselves, and then we'll have Tricia read the task force mission statement. So
You're coming up.
So much.
Thank
Yeah.
you, Bill.
much better.
Yes. Yeah.
And just
Oh, this is so much nicer.
Thank you.
Task force. Come on, Velma.
We just need a fireplace now.
All right,
Alright.
this is better.
You want to start from the beginning again?
Sure, yes. Morning, everyone. Juan Becerra, HR Director for the town of Southampton and liaison to our wonderful Affirmative Action Task Force. So we're here to present, we do a yearly report to the town board on some of the projects we're working on and we've been working on in the past year. So we'll just start with them, the task force member introducing themselves. And then we'll have Tricia read the mission statement.
Yeah, so
Okay.
kind of the task force members and why they're part of this task force and for how long and why this is an urgent and important task force to be a part of.
Oh,
More
okay.
than
Go,
just
I'll take
it.
More than just your name.
Am I starting?
Yes.
Yes.
Good morning,
Good
everyone.
morning.
It's good to be alive and well. My name is Thelma Harris. I have been with this committee for approximately 10 years or more. I was appointed by the HR department and sort of I'm like the person in the community who shares information, tries to get people involved in seeking employment opportunities and or taking civil service exams here in town.
Thank you.
Morning, everyone. My name is Anthony Carter. I am the village administrator out in Southampton Village. So it is an absolute honor to be here, and thank you for making me a part of this task force. I spent 28 years in New York City working for the New York City Police Department, and during that time, obviously, knowing that New York is probably the most diverse city in the country, if not the world, and it was just so important for us to have that diverse workforce to be representative of the communities that we serve, both in the police department, but just in all city agencies. So taking that experience and then coming out as a deputy police commissioner in Suffolk County for the last 2 years, that I was able to, look at diversity, look at gender, look at all the different aspects of how important hiring is, once again, to be representative of the community that we serve. So now out here in Southampton Village, very important, a lot of policies that we look at and how we can make changes, how we can advertise the positions, and that's some of the work that I've been doing since I've been here. But really just thank you, to all the members of the task force in helping me get acclimated to Southampton Village. So thank you, and as I said, it's an honor to be here.
Thank you.
Thank you, Anthony, too.
Hi, everyone. My name is Minerva Perez, and I am the chair of the task force. And I think, Thelma, you were here when I got here, and I think it's been about 13 years for me. Just about 13 years. So, and I love it. It is a labor of love. And even during COVID, we were working. We weren't doing as much of the public-facing, offerings, but we were definitely working through some really important stuff on the task force. So I'm honored. I do want to share that, and because Juan will go over some of the bullets, some of the stuff we're not going to go over, but in terms of even for only meeting once a month, although we do have some email exchanges and sometimes additional meetings that we'll pull together for different reasons, we get kind of a lot done and we keep our feet to the ground, and Juan is a tremendous partner. The support that we have also from Michael Iascelli, Councilman Iascelli, and our prior town board liaisons has been absolutely critical to making sure that the consistency and that that we're really kind of seeing some things move forward, and we're not just meeting just so we can say, oh, look at that, we have a task force. We ask some hard questions. Juan has been gathering some pretty hard numbers for us, some statistics and all that, and we do intermittent sort of reviews of where we're at. For us, it is not a focus on quotas. It's a focus on process. We have often heard that, well, we have to hire from the list. We're limited. Well, then we immediately took a look at that and said, well, what are we doing to increase the diversity within that list? How do we get the pool to be more diverse? How do we make sure that education around that? access to test prep, civil service test prep, which is a lot of what we've done in the past as well, bringing it out to the community, out to Flanders, out to Bridgehampton, onto Shinnecock Nation. How do we make sure that we can't just keep answering the same question with the same answer? That's the pool, that's the list, that's the test, that's civil service. We can't afford to do that. We've got a community out here that is very diverse, and we've got great people to hire. And there are great people in Ronkonkoma as well that are not happy about the traffic. But we've also got local people. What are we doing to make sure that local people are a part of this town and the 500 or so employees of the town? So this is a serious pursuit. I appreciate the support that the town board has given. The fact that we've got a little bit of a budget is important for us because we use that budget very wisely. In terms of bringing in folks that Juan will talk about, NCBI and other ways that we use a little bit of that money. And also the task force themselves. I'm just so honored to be among people that truly, truly care about this community and what it means to work in a town. So that's what I have, and I'll pass it on to you.
Thank you.
I'm going to say Akwai and Montepawuni. I am learning the Shinnecock Algonquin dialect so that we can do more with it at different levels, the school district, and allow the Shinnecock persons in the community upon which land we are sitting to feel heard and validated as well. So I am here. I am a former educator. I am the Director of Education for the Shinnecock Nation, and I work with children and families. I am Denise Merchant Williams.
For the record.
For the record, I am Denise Merchant Williams. Sorry, I had to get that whole Shinnecock thing. I remember that. Yeah. And I'm here because I believe that if I am in the room and I have the information that we can share from both the Shinnecock community and the information that I am learning here and a part of and a voice of, that I could bring it back there and we can help get those progressive numbers, those numbers more reflective of the community that is here. So I believe in being in the room just so that we can educate everybody and have voices be heard and validated. So thank you for allowing me to be a part of this.
Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Trisha Martinez. I have been with the town for the past 2 years in public safety. I have been a resident of Hampton Bay since I was born. And I joined the task force in February, and it's been amazing. I love all the meetings that we have, and all of the bullet points that we're going to talk about today I think are very important, and the things that we're going to do in the future I think are also very important. I'm excited to see where it goes and to see how we can bring communities together, get everybody more involved, and to represent all groups equally.
Can I just share that Trisha has a great approach to something we've been talking about for a while, which is a video project, again, to sort of help highlight some of the folks that are currently working for the town and some of the possibilities, the career paths of different folks that might represent different backgrounds, but how did they get into the town? What was their path? What keeps them here? What are some highlights? And so having a video project like that be something that can, be rolling on some of these screens out there or in other places of the town. It's a way to kind of introduce people to who are the people working here. And so Trisha is going to help lead some of that with some of your video experience and background.
Yes.
So we're excited about that as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you want to read the mission statement?
Sure. Yeah. Affirmative Action Task Force mission statement. To promote the hiring, retention, and advancement of persons representative of all parts of the town's diverse population to serve as town employees, and to assist the town in its commitment to taking positive practical steps to achieve greater diversity in the town's workforce and management by improving opportunities for hiring, training, and professional advancement for all interested applicants, but particularly those in underrepresented groups, and to periodically review and make recommendations to the Southampton Town Board regarding the town's affirmative action policy.
Thank you, Tricia. Thank you. Juan Becerra again, HR Director. I started with the task force as soon as I moved up to HR back in July of 2016. I was appointed as the HR liaison to the task force, and I've been with them, ever since. And even though in the beginning it was kind of part of my job, I eventually very quickly, started taking it on as something I wanted to do, to make a difference, to teach the public about civil service and opportunities in public service, because I feel like it's not something that's commonly or widely known, right? So for me, getting the word out and trying to diversify our pool of candidates and the employees we have in the town is highly important. So to be able to do that, as part of this task force is very fulfilling. And now being in a new role, I continue to work with them, and we'll do so in the future. So I'm just happy to be part of the group and that we are still moving forward. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Claire Shea. I'm the union CSEA president, and that's the role I am on this task force with. So it's been 3 years. It's been a good 3 years. Very weird coming on with COVID. So I've never really seen any of these people in person. So this is nice to actually meet them finally. But I have to say, practically speaking, from my members' point of view, the recent survey that they did, there was a very positive response from my members, feeling that they were heard, that they were asking good questions, and things that actually then, luckily, I was also part of the training that resulted from it. And on 2 hats, I was, assistant town planning director and from the union and being part of the task force. So I thought it was very practical, excellent training that I really got a good handle of what they were doing, and that from a practical standpoint, it's an excellent thing that the task force and that program did for the town, for the training portion. So, yes, that's good.
Okay.
Thank you.
So I'd like to go just quickly over some of the bullet points I handed you. Maybe we can take turns reading. I'll start with number 2. As you all know too well, the town continues to face challenges in recruiting, whether from civil service lists or outside of them. As a silver lining, there have been more opportunities to promote from within and also to hire provisional employees, given that lists are being broken easily. Regardless, the task force efforts are meant to increase the candidate pool in whatever ways possible. And we'll touch upon that later with some of the classes that we offer, and we plan on continuing doing so, teaching the public about civil service.
I think that's so important what you said, Minerva, because it is true, we are bound by the list, but how to get more people involved and know that these options are available to them is so important. That's the only way we're going to get some diversity on the list. So
Yes,
I'm
definitely.
very interested to hear what it is that you've been doing to facilitate that.
Well, let's jump to that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And the video, what you're making should bring more people who want to work for the town.
That's definitely the goal, and hopefully we can share it among schools, or to get younger people to know and to see that civil service exists and that there's many opportunities within the township.
And a lot of
And
people don't
we
know
have
anything
openings.
about it.
We need people.
Yes.
And we would love local people
What
Would
age?
we need
to work in the town.
What age?
So
do
it's
you
a
take
risk.
the civil service test?
At what age?
Can they take it in high school?
In high school?
Juan, is it 18 or?
I think it's 18. Yes.
Senior year.
Yeah.
But there are ways to be employed by the town before that. So there's
Oh,
the
yeah.
beach,
Yes,
beach
I
and
realize
parks
that.
and all that. Yeah, but which is
Mhm.
great. So that could
Yeah.
be a nice entry point.
I think a lot of kids don't even understand that if they work as a lifeguard or a beach attendant, that counts towards your state retirement
Yes. Yeah.
system
Yeah.
requirements. So
And no one wants to hear that when they're like 15.
No.
But it does matter. So, so before COVID, we had a wonderful offering that we did that Juan led for our area high school. So we worked with the area high school guidance counselors. We brought them to the town for a brunch, so food is important. Brought them to the town and really gave them a great overview and a real connection to the town about what they might be able to do next to be able to share information with their students about whether it's beach and parks and rec or whether it's other opportunities right after high school, the kind of career paths like being a lawyer, being all kinds of ways that you can engage and be part of the town. But that was really great. That happened right before COVID. We got like one of them in, and then we kind of had to cool it for a bit. But we want to get back into that practice as well, with a kind of a more, just more often that we're having that touch point and with the guidance counselors. So when there are jobs or there are opportunities to have the kids out here, that's what we're trying to do as well.
Yeah, that was great because we had every high school sent somebody, and we also invited Riverhead, and we had somebody from civil service come in and teach them about how civil service works. Most of them didn't know about it, so they kind of put the website on a presentation, navigated it, so they can pass this information on to their students. And to also let students know that you don't necessarily need a college degree to be in civil. There's a lot of opportunities, as we know, that don't require. So you could have a great career in public service with all these benefits without having a college degree. So that's important also to share.
I'm glad you invited Riverhead. A significant part of their district is in Southampton Town, all the way to Red Creek Park. How has the feedback with young people been in the guidance counselors? And I ask this because working in government and government in general gets a bad rap sometimes.
Right.
And, so, we have wonderful professionals in the town. We need these people in the town, and, they're very good at what they do. What has the feedback been from some of the young folks who work in government?
That's going to be important when we want to bring them back this year. So I think now we have a perspective of, it's been a few years since we last did it. I think it'd be interesting to hear from them, right? How has it been, right? And communicating this information to students. Are they still doing it? And I think this would be a good refresher for them to say, all right, we want to continue teaching students about civil service and providing the options. So we'll get back to you on that.
Okay.
So you're gonna do it this coming school year? This school year's done already?
I think something we could do sometime in the fall.
Yeah, sometime in the fall for sure.
Yeah.
But to your point, Councilwoman, there is a knowledge gap, and people are just not aware of all these positions and all these opportunities that we have. And we've kind of stepped up, at least in the village, with our recruitment efforts, sending out our Department of Public Works employees, and not the leadership, but the actual workers, and telling them, this is what the job entails, this is what it does, this is how it can benefit you, and, kind of almost giving them kind of a hands-on demonstration of what work looks like in Southampton Village. So it's been helpful for us to actually get boots on the ground into the high schools, into some of the local communities that surround Southampton Village for, a little bit more of a recruitment effort. So it's been helpful, and we've seen it. And but to your point, getting that knowledge out there to
because
our young
I've found
community.
even adults that don't realize that they worked in the town as a kid, and that time doesn't go away; it's still there. So it is helpful for them when they know, like, oh wow, I already have like 3 years, in or whatever time they have.
And you lock in a good, good tier. You're young, right? Tiers change, but you're whatever you signed up as a teenager. That's what the tier you're in. So yes, sure.
One thing I wanted to bring up, and I'm sorry to put you on the spot again, Tricia, is why I was so excited when Tricia was interested in joining the task force, is because, we need to look at the other knowledge that we don't have, perspective that we don't have, and Tricia kind of represents some of that in terms of how you got involved in working at the town. What has your experience been? What have your peers? You're 24? 24. So what have your peers, you feel that around you, like when you started working at the town, what were some of the sentiments that you were hearing about that?
Yeah, it's something I didn't even know about. Didn't know that there was like a whole government to this, that there was many positions available, and since joining, it's opened my eyes. I've been able to share the information with people I graduated with, and I hope to bring it further than that, because a lot of people don't know that this could be a career path. You're exposed to so many different other jobs within the town, lawyers, people on the council, every kind of job, and it really opens your eyes, and it can even encourage people to even go back to school and pursue different careers. So I think it's very important.
Yeah. Just one piece that's sort of been left out this morning is the task force relationship with BOCES, which I think is key to the future of hiring local people to maybe fill job openings that are present themselves here in the town. Our society is going to become more and more technical, and parents are not going to be able to afford college. And I think it is key that Southampton Town not only promotes jobs here, but the idea that BOCES is a great place to get an education to fill some of the technical needs that the town will need over the years. The partnership with BOCES has been almost since the committee's inception. We have some members here who are not present today, but have introduced BOCES, helped us get an instructor for the civil service class at a reasonable cost. And initially, I think the cost was almost nothing to the town, but that was a great piece. And any way that we can promote to our young people in our society who we want to keep here and to help the town grow is the fact that we have to partner not only with civil service, but we have to partner with high schools and BOCES as well, because BOCES, I feel, is the key trained people come into the town will be of great service to the town for the future.
Good point, thank you.
I wanted to just make a quick point and just thank the town board and also Juan and Sandra Cercion, when she was here, to the point that Claire made about the survey. The survey, as we were putting that together, it took a while. It took probably over a year, definitely over a year, for a lot of conversation about how do we approach this. Why is the Affirmative Action Task Force putting forward this survey? Why does that make any sense? And those conversations were important because we wanted to kind of look at it from a perspective of how do we have these difficult conversations around diversity, and where do they stem from? What's the central point that they all kind of have in common is a sense of safety, a sense of belonging, and what does that feel like in your workplace, and why is that important? We can't start talking about black and brown and protected classes and talk on this level of things that we know are very important when we're not addressing really basic level of what does it feel like to feel safe and that you belong, no matter what you look like, your background, what your religion, what anything is, you know. So we addressed that from kind of baseline with this survey, and I was really happy to see the kind of response that we had, which was a high level for the first time ever doing a survey like that, which I think we were at about 20% or
Was it
so.
25%? Yeah.
25%, which is kind of crazy how amazing that was.
Well, we had been told if you get 10%, you should consider yourself lucky. So it was a nice surprise that we got a quarter of employees responding to the survey.
Yeah.
And we got a lot of good information in.
We did, and what I think is very exciting is that it allowed us as a task force to kind of address some of the things that were very scary, like, but what if? What if people are really angry about this? I can't fix the traffic, or I can't fix that. We had to really kind of talk ourselves through the fact that it's not about the answers to everyone's problem. It's about being willing and being brave enough to ask the question. We have to hear our employees. We have to understand what they're going through and be willing to do that and do it consistently. So every single year, we'd like to be doing that survey, and I'd love to know that the village as well might want to also do that as a way of kind of understanding where your village folks are coming from.
And those were the sentiments of the board at the time when we were considering putting out a survey to the workers. We wanted to hear from the workers. And frankly, I'm very interested to hear what they have to say.
Let's go to that. But NCBI is the same organization that did the in-person training. They're the ones that we went to help coordinate the questions in the survey and really look at how we're going to ask and how we're going to analyze as well. So, Juan, if you want to talk about that, I know I'm just zeroing into a few things.
No, that's perfect. So that was the survey was number 3 on the sheet, and then into number 4. NCBI, the National Coalition Building Institute, is an organization we've been working with since 2017, and they helped us back then to create our first diversity, equity, inclusion training for managers back in 2018. We then did it again in 2020, and then this year after the pandemic, we did it once again back in April. We brought in our department heads, division heads, and deputies, and it was a full day training. We had lunch and breakfast, and a lot of the insights we got from the survey were utilized to kind of update, the training and bring those insights so that the department heads could hear about what the employees are saying.
We don't have that document.
Oh yes, and I can provide copies of that.
I mean, if it's
survey.
germane,
Yeah.
We have that one, right?
Yeah, and I'll
You're
provide
going
copies
off
of the board.
numbers here. I'm fine with not having it. If it's,
No, you can have it, Tony, of course. So that was back in April, and then as a part of a second day of training, we did train the trainers. So NCBI provided the training to a group of us, and in the hopes that we can then bring this training to all town staff. So we would like to do that sometime this year to begin doing that, I think it went very well again. NCBI does
what kind of things are you training to know or do?
So, like for example, things like implicit bias and finding allies in the workplace, including your coworkers,
What I'll share one, and I would love to make sure that the next time we do it, that the town board gets to, however you do that with quorums and all the rest of it, but the town board gets to experience NCBI because it's such a great organization. But one example, when we were working with, and this is when we brought in town employees that were part of the Parks and Rec and the Highway Department, we tried out some of this training with them, and we all were very mistaken in thinking, well, most of us were mistaken in thinking that this is going to be hard because these folks are working hard. These conversations around diversity and inclusion and belonging. It's like, oh my God, it's just going to feel like, too much. It's going to feel just like annoying or something. It was so the opposite. So an example was not cohorts. What's the word?
Caucus groups.
So we did these caucus groups that they trained on. They said, okay, people were able to form their own caucus groups. And so in Parks and Rec, let's say, a lot of men in that group, but not only men, they chose that one group would be older employees. Another group might be, what was the other one?
I think like single dads.
Single dads,
Yeah.
Older employees, single dads. A couple of groups like that, so that it didn't really break up along lines of racial lines, or I'm in this department, or I'm in administration and you're out on the highway, because everyone was there, from the whole department. So they broke up in these areas that they kind of mean something for them. They gathered in groups, they discussed for a while. 3 questions. What is something that you never want anyone to ever say, do, or think about your caucus group, your group, let's say, older employees? What is something that you are very proud of about your caucus group, and how can people be allies to your caucus group? So when let's say the group of older employees got up there, they spoke about very meaningful and soulfully, as a group, we don't want anyone to feel that we are obsolete, that we don't have anything to offer, that we are stuck in our ways, that we don't understand technology. These are some things, so they were able to get up there and really present that. And then they shared that, we might not have come from this particular generation, but we know how to solve problems. We know what it takes to get things done. We don't give up on tasks. We don't multitask as much because we actually get things done. And then finally, how to be an ally. They would offer some points as well. But it was outrageously moving, and it also allowed this NCBI group and all of us to experience diversity in a bunch of different ways, which doesn't mean we take away the fact that people who are protected classes, or Black and Brown, LGBTQ plus, there are very significant reasons that there are barriers around workforce and making sure people are safe and included. But these other areas of diversity and what it feels like when you're kind of ostracized as an older worker, they were right there in front of us. So some of the training that we now have as Train the Trainer is to do some of these exercises among other departments, and then make sure that in a very safe kind of way that people are just sort of feeling this in a different way, and also feeling that they can be heard. And I think that was another big piece, like you said, Claire, is that people felt like this really included them. They weren't being talked to. This is not a training that says, this is what you can't say to somebody or else you're gonna get in trouble. It's not a liability training. It's a training to make sure that you've got a more cohesive and collaborative workforce, and a cared for workforce.
Well said, Minerva. Yes, that was great, Samantha. That was great. Yeah, thank you. So that was the DEI training this past April, and again, we're hoping to bring it to the remaining staff. For point number 5, we plan on resuming civil service overview classes, which will be open to any community member or employee interested in attending. Civil service provides a trainer at no cost to us, and these are 1-hour classes that provide basic information about how civil service works, how to navigate the website, how to sign up for tests, etc. These classes are rotated around town facilities. In the past, we've held them at the Bridgehampton Community Center, Town Hall, the Shinnecock Nation, we did one, Flanders Community Center, and the Hampton Bays Community Center as well. So we plan on continuing doing those. Number 6 is what Thelma was talking about, the civil service test prep classes provided by BOCES. So these are about 3 hours long. They send a trainer, very cost effective, and they teach community members how to prepare for civil service exams. And they do practice tests. He goes through the questions, the answers, and we've all gotten very good feedback. We actually did one for employees, and we filled the town boardroom. There was a lot of interest for that, and I'm sure if we offer that again, we could get more interest.
You do that for the youth, the kids.
Yes, we could definitely also focus it on the young people, but we plan on again resuming having these civil service test classes.
Just getting the word out, right? I mean, that's a lot of times people don't even know these. Like Thelma was saying, people don't even know these jobs exist.
Correct.
Whether it's jobs here, or whether it's a police officer or a fireman.
Exactly.
Unless you're, it's the kind of thing that's usually handed down from family to family. You know that, but other people don't. Right.
Sandra,
take
always
the
used
test.
to say that, yes.
I got that drilled in my head. Go to school, but take the test.
That's right. And then number 7, going back to the high school counselors, we want to invite them again, like I said, and kind of resume that conversation and check in, see how they're doing with that. Are they teaching it to students? Or are they passing on that information? And number 8, Tricia Martinez will be doing these interviews with the town employees, and there'll be short clips, kind of fun, entertaining, talking with the employee about how they came to their town job. What do they like about it? What's a day like in their position? And
we're talking about carving a little space out, not just with CTV, but also maybe with the Facebook page, maybe even on the website.
Yes.
Something where you can kind of click and just see the faces of the town or stories from the town employees or something like that. So there's really more of an interactive piece to it.
And we can share with the schools, right? So maybe they can pass it on to the students and promote
We should be
not only.
including one or two of those in our newsletter that we put out quarterly.
Oh yeah, that would be great. Yeah,
That's
that'd
it.
be
Yes. Yeah. So I've already spoken to CTV. They have their studio downstairs. They're more than happy to help us. It's just a matter of now picking the employees and having Tricia sit down with them and doing them. So we're hoping to do that very.
Juan's
very
number 1 on the list. He just doesn't know.
I thought that might be coming. So that's really it as far as the summary that we've included. But I don't know if any member wants to add anything else, or Minerva, if you want to. Well, thank you again to the town board, and for the the budget that, like Minerva said, that you provide to us is very helpful to being able to do all these things. And a lot of the stuff we do for the community comes out of that money. So thank you again for providing.
What is the budget?
I think it's 20,000.
20,000.
I'm so glad to see the responses to this.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, we can always do better, but this is good.
So they're good
Well,
responses. Yeah.
How often do you do this survey?
We
once
want
a
to do
year?
the survey once a year.
They'd be very interested if it changes the following year.
Exactly.
So that the stuff you're doing is making an improvement.
Yeah, and the stuff that our hiring department heads are doing. It's how people are feeling in their departments. Also that, and we in the past we've also called meetings with each department head to kind of talk through what their hiring needs are or how we might be able to help as a task force if we can. If it's getting word out, we each in our own kind of circles try to get word out as much as we can. I put it out on times if there's a posting, I put it out on Ola's Facebook page. We put it, I think, on our various circles. But what we can do to support, and then also just make sure that each hiring authority just sort of feels that we're here to support, and they kind of understand what our role is, and the role is not like picking through and looking for the problems. It's kind of like how can we help? How can we help? Where are barriers that you see? And because it's there's stuff that we can do, or at least focus in on.
Minerva, is this
so important.
Yeah.
Is this list proprietary in any way? So if the village wanted to use it, or other villages wanted
Which
to,
one?
The survey.
The survey.
Oh, the survey. Well, we
I wouldn't
paid
think so.
NCBI.
Mhm.
It's a good question. We did, but I don't know. I mean, I think having Anthony on this task force, I feel like it represents, a great move to kind of see this general area, really kind of look at hiring and diversity in a kind of consistent, cohesive way. So, I mean, the town did pay for it. I'll say that, but doing it again, maybe that could be a collaborative effort or something like that. I mean, we can kind of be modeling this for what other neighboring towns might want to do in a similar context, but not.
Or other villages
idea.
too.
And other villages, yeah.
And I was
I
thinking
know
our
when
school
Sandra
district.
and Juan brought this to us like a year ago, we were kind of like, what if we find out all these horrible things?
It's like,
But we got to that point where we were like, well, you can't
We wanna
fix
know.
it if you don't know what's
That's
broken.
exactly
You don't wanna be an
So-
ostrich.
Wanna
You can
know.
stick your head
That's
in.
right.
we really appreciate you coming to that
And
conclusion.
we
Yeah.
felt
Yes.
like, if the worst case scenario and it was horrible, then we have some work to do. So
That's right.
Exactly.
Yep. And it wasn't that horrible, which is great.
It's a little horrible.
But there was some constructive criticism.
yes, there
and-
always will be.
Yes,
Yeah.
of course.
But
But
It shows
things
that
we can
people-
work with. We had very small, tiny percent of responses that were kind of like, everything stinks, and thank God. Most of them were things we could actually work on and improve, and that's what we need.
Yeah.
It shows the people that we care.
That's right.
People
Exactly.
want to know that the employees care about them.
Yeah.
And I think meeting with the department heads is a great idea, because they might not,
Yeah.
you could just raise their awareness of some of the things the employees are saying that they might not be conscious of.
That's
We
right.
had that session. I think, whenever you were there, I think we we had that session at the Hampton Bays Fire Department where we usually still have our department head
April.
meetings.
We just did it
Yeah.
again
We
in
had that
April.
training, yeah, when we talked about.
Yeah.
That was it. That was
Yeah,
in
who
April.
was that? Who ran? Was that them? Was
NCBI.
that, was that
Yeah,
us?
yes.
NCBI?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah. So we just did it again this past
That's-
April.
that's
Oh, okay,
stand
yeah.
for.
Yeah, National Coalition Building Institute.
Okay. Yeah, they were good. The two people.
Yeah,
that
yeah.
were
No, they
there.
do a
Same
great
ones.
job.
I read in Tawana.
Right. That's
Yes.
right.
Same
Right.
ones
Right.
that did it,
Yeah.
yeah.
Was that out of a grant or was that?
That's out of the budget that we have.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I thought that was very provocative. I mean,
It's very inspiring, and people they have a good way of engaging people, and
yeah.
they do a great
Yeah,
job.
no,
Yeah,
that was-
and they've been with us, like I said, almost for 80 years. So they know the town.
Yeah, 8 years.
They've gotten to know our employees, and
Mhm.
so it's a good relationship.
Yeah, I think, and then the job fairs or relationships with Ola and other groups where we could
Mhm.
put the word out that there are possible
Mhm.
positions or opportunities. And,
Yeah.
I love talking with kids, high school kids and stuff like that. They teach you a lot too, right?
Yes, and we do. HR does send to. They invite us to the job fairs at the high schools. We always send somebody.
Yeah.
PD usually does. Parks.
Mhm.
The town usually has a few tables at the high schools. So.
Yeah, good.
So, well,
Very
that's
good.
it.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you
Yes.
so much for
Thank
coming
you.
to update
Thank you
us.
all. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for doing everything.
Of course.
Well done. Yes.
No, we can leave them there. We'll take care of them.
All right, the next item on our agenda is the proposed code changes to Article 3, Road Review, Section 123. We've got Tom Houghton, Director of Municipal Works, and Catherine Garvin, Assistant Town Attorney.
That's us.
Thank you for joining us.
These are just this is the town code, current town code section on our road review right now. So Tom and I are here before you because at our last road review committee meeting, which was very well attended, the members were just kind of talking about how road review is and how there are very few vacant lots left in the town. And with the status of some of these private roads. And if you are not aware, the road review committee basically reviews any vacant lots that are going to be developed on private roads. The road review committee gets its authority from New York State town law, which basically says you can't get a building permit to construct a house on a lot that doesn't have basically safe access. Access for emergency vehicles, police, ambulances. And the town has always treated that as looking at only vacant lots, right? Because the town has basically been like, it's assumed that if you got your building permit, the access there is safe, it's been safe. And of course, that's not the case now because, most of the vacant lots have been built on. A lot of these lots were developed prior to zoning, so they didn't even go through road review. So we have a lot of houses, pre-existing non-conforming houses that were built prior to '57. So maybe there's like 2 or 3 vacant lots on a street a private road, that they bear the burden of improving the road because of the wear and tear that's been going on it.
This is only for the vacant lots that are on private roads.
Correct. And trustee roads. The road review committee will also look at vacant lots on trustee roads and either make recommendations to the trustees to adopt, or oftentimes the trustees will say, we'll just take a donation in and we'll improve the road because they have kind of like accounts for all of those monies. So it's just, private roads and trustee roads. And like I said, we've been, up until this meeting, we had only been looking at vacant lots. So now the road review committee said, we should probably start looking at lots that they're gonna demo the house and build a new house on because the construction of a new house is gonna tear up the road. Like all of the trucks and the vehicles and the traffic back and forth. And I said, well, we'd have to talk to town board about that because I think we definitely have the authority to do that. We just have never done that before. And I think if you guys are interested in having at least a public hearing on it, I'd want to put that in the code because that's new.
I think it's a good idea because a lot of these houses were built up, they were modest houses and they're being bought and they're being torn down. And instead of having a 2,000, they're having a 10,000 square foot house with a lot of wear and tear. And those people would want more, expect more from the road than what the previous owner of the houses did.
So
we found out what happens with the build out. Remember, 2 decades ago we were talking about what will happen when the town gets built out. Well, we're at build out. They're taking houses down and building new houses, like Councilman Feld said, and they want more amenities.
So in our
This is just the existing code.
Correct.
Yeah,
That's
correct.
Correct. I just wasn't sure if any, some people aren't even really aware of. If you don't live on a private road, you might not even know about road use.
And a definition of private road is important. There are different classes of private road. You're referring to roads that are unimproved roads in Southampton town?
Nope,
Or
I'm just
like,
talking about roads that are not owned by the town or the trustees.
and they're owned by the individuals on that street.
Possibly, they could be owned by a corporation, they could be owned by an individual. More often than not, they're kind of shared ownership between everybody who lives on the private road.
And would this include unimproved roads, right of ways rather, in the town?
I mean, it has to be a private road. I mean, a right of way, as long as the right of way shows up as a road, yes. Oftentimes people refer to a right of way and it's an easement, right? Like there has to be, it doesn't refer to easements. It
Okay.
refers to private roads that you would see them in GIS, they have a name. That's how they're defined.
They're showing up on some sort of map somewhere.
yeah. It also refers to roads that are not within the town highway system
Correct.
as well.
There you go.
What about paper roads?
Paper roads,
Kind of the same
no.
thing,
Paper
right?
roads need to go through the planning process to determine that you can actually build houses on those roads and you have
It can be opened up.
the credits. So as far as our inventory goes, we really have 2 types of roads. We have roads that are within the highway system, and we have roads that are not within the highway system. Our highway system has about 450 miles of roads that the highway department maintains, plows, services, repaves, etc. It's under their ownership. The other roads, the private roads, the unimproved roads that aren't in the highway system, we have about 567 roads consisting of approximately 118 miles across those 567 different private
How
roads.
many miles?
118 miles.
Wow.
Of
Of
unimproved,
Unimproved, of which, or
Not
they're
unimproved.
private.
but they're
Private.
Does
they're
that
private.
include the trustee roads?
I believe it does. Of which there are approximately 4,400 houses currently taking access from those
How
private
many
roads.
houses?
4,400. We're talking about, a good quarter of roads within the town at some point. So the current process is that if it is a vacant parcel on a private road, and when I say vacant, I mean it has never had a C of O. There's never been a house on it. There's never been a C of O. It's never gone through road review before. That parcel is required to come to the road review committee prior to receiving their building permit. So they come to the committee looks at the road, they go and do an inspection, they determine what improvements may be required in order to provide safe access to that development, and then the committee assigns a dollar value to that. Historically, it's been around $18,000. 20 years ago, it was $8,000. It's increased as the price of materials have increased. We used to be able to get a lot more work done for our money than we can get done today. So the road review committee will prepare a report, they'll vote on it, and it will make that recommendation either to the town board or to the trustees, depending
What's
upon
an
the road.
example?
An example is, so we have a road on Old Sag Harbor Road right now. We just did this one at our last meeting, 273 Old Sag Harbor Road. They're proposing access. We went out to the subject property. We looked at where their driveway is taking access from Old Sag Harbor Road. We checked the surrounding area for potholes, for broken asphalt. It just so happened that this particular road has a huge drainage issue right where that driveway intersects Old Sag Harbor Road. So in this case, we made a recommendation to the trustees to install additional drainage structures and to fix the potholes on this road since it was already wide enough. It was already 18 feet wide.
So it's nothing that's directed at the homeowner, it's directed
It is. So the reason that we go to the town board or we go to the town trustees is so that they can pass a resolution requiring that the homeowner perform these corrective measures as prescribed by the committee in order to receive their certificate of occupancy. Once that resolution is passed, the homeowner, they take that resolution, they take an affidavit that they will abide by this resolution to the building department, and then they're issued their permit to start construction. We don't let them start construction unless they're fully aware of the requirements that we're asking of them, because typically it's going to cost them a fair bit of money.
So some of the things that you require would be drainage to be installed,
Yes.
potholes to be filled.
Yep.
Yep, road widening.
Typical maintenance that would be done by the town, but since the town doesn't own these roads or doesn't maintain these roads, no one is doing them. So it falls on the people that live on those roads. I get phone calls all the time of, how do I fix my road? I've got 1,000 feet of road. It's gravel. It's got potholes. Nobody else in my development wants to pay for it. How do I make this safe?
What's the answer? That
The
one
answer is
homeowner
that
shouldn't
you
bear
know,
the burden.
it's a private road, so it's not the responsibility of the town.
Right, that I get.
So you really either have to take care of it yourself, or you have to talk to your neighbors to maintain that road.
Or the trustees own a lot of these roads. The people own half to the middle of the road, and the people on the other side own the other half. Or some
Some of them.
Very few.
Yeah, I've seen some of them. You know, like an old developer, guy who developed it 100 years ago owns it. He's dead and gone. They might own it, or Suffolk County might own it. Like that piece of lot, what they CPF want us to look at the buy, that was on a trustee road. They would have had to go, same thing what Tom was saying, they would have to go through road review. That's why that lot's so cheap, because it's a very hard lot to develop.
During our inspections, we're finding that more and more of these roads are in greater disrepair, and we're finding that brand new houses are coming in. They're demolishing the existing 800 square foot bungalow, and they're building multi-thousand square foot houses on these roads, destroying the roads even further. But yet they are exempt from improving that road because that previous house had a C of O. So we're seeing a greater level of development on these historically low volume roads, and the remainder of the homeowners on that road are essentially have to bear the brunt of that development. So we were looking at potentially asking for complete knockdowns, so full demolition, clean slate, and building a new house, that they also be required to improve the road.
Yeah, absolutely.
I would do that. I would also support doing that for if you're increasing it by over a certain amount of square feet.
Right, 50%, or have a number.
That's
or,
true.
or percentage.
Yeah, if
Yeah.
you're
Of
Of the,
Same
of the
thing.
total
Like
value of the
50%.
property or something,
I think you should have to do.
yeah.
So you think this based on the square footage or based on the value? I mean, square
I
footage is
think
going to be easier to
I think the
Square
square footage.
calculate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's like, if
value
it's-
is a
If it's
Yeah,
over like
proposition.
10%,
it's also subjective.
Square footage or
50.
percentage? I mean, I think we're saying the same thing, but
Yeah.
if
I think
it's a
if you're
smaller house and
increasing the square footage over 50%, maybe,
I think maybe 100%, to be
100%?
honest. I mean, you have small houses that,
or just
Right.
doing little additions.
yeah.
right, we don't want the additions to get
I
triggered,
don't think
but
we want to get into
So if
that
you're
realm.
doubling the size of your house, that's fair.
that's a new house.
What's the new house?
Then
It's a
they'll
new
come
house.
in at 5 feet under.
Yeah, I mean
You
that's
know?
with every code amendment, but at
Yeah.
least it will capture something.
Yeah.
You know,
We're gonna,
You're going to require them to do the whole
Based
road,
on-
or just in front of their house?
or just
or-
what we
What
do
they
for
would
road
normally
review.
do for road review.
yeah.
Yeah.
We look at the shortest distance to access that home. So if there's two streets that you could possibly access from, we look at the most reasonable path that you would take to get to that house, and then we apply our dollar value that we typically ask for across that. We try and figure out what we can get. We're trying to get safe access. I mean, we're not always looking for brand new roads. We're just trying to make it better.
safer.
And currently, under our existing code, at some point, we will run out of undeveloped parcels. At some point in the future, it will happen. And then the town will no longer, under this code, be able to
Improve any of these roads.
yeah, through proposed developments. So
I think it's totally reasonable.
it's going to help offset the brunt of the people who lived on that road historically, that now have to take care of.
I mean, especially when you see what workers and work vans and construction workers do to these roads when during the construction phase. It's
Many of these roads were not
They get
constructed to bear the weight of a fully loaded concrete truck.
But
or
so
a
let me ask you
crane,
that
for
question
Yeah.
now. When you do your road review, does their repairs have to come at the end of their construction? And what if they do more damage during construction?
construction?
So the current process is that those improvements must be made prior to C of O. So we tell them, we recommend that they do them at the end of construction. If they do them at the beginning of construction and they trash the road, when we go to do our inspection at the C of O, if the improvements need to be redone, we make them redo it. We don't sign off and release or give the building department our recommendation to release the CO until we verify that those improvements are satisfactory to what's been prescribed. There's a little bit of leeway on that. We can work with them on hardships. We have a hardship process where if you're just not able to afford it or whatever, we can receive a letter and opine on it. But we make sure that before that C of O is received, that work is complete.
I think it makes good sense. Just if we could write it in a way that would keep somebody from just keeping like one little thing,
Yes.
and no, it's not a full demolition because I kept one timber.
Yeah. To keep the one wall up. That's
Okay,
Yeah.
then I can
But
address
I
that.
think the increase in square footage will capture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we can do both. We can
Yeah.
do,
We're
full house
not trying to
demolition.
get every
Yeah.
house. We're just trying to
Get
get a little more.
Yeah.
To be honest.
Be safe.
yeah.
Yeah.
If we get one more house per street a year, I mean that's going to make a huge difference
Yeah.
to these
Plus,
private roads.
some of that money, trustee money, goes into maintaining that road, plowing it, pulling the potholes up.
Yeah, we typically ask for around 18,000 on town roads. The trustees have increased their fees to 25,000 per development. So,
Good.
I don't
What do
believe
you mean about the fees?
the trustees are currently asking for a check. Hey, give us a check for 25 grand and you're good.
And they do the work themselves.
In
Put the
some
drainage in,
cases,
yeah.
it goes into
Meanwhile,
a
though,
maintenance
these
fund.
people can do it not at prevailing wage, not at.
Yes. So
You might get more for your money if they do.
when I estimate our jobs, I use our requirements contracts. So let's say we don't ask for bonds anymore. Bonds were way too tricky. But if we think of a bonding scenario where we say, all right, we're asking for all these dry wells and all this asphalt, I've calculated that as if the town was going to do it. So prevailing wage work based on contracts, known numbers. In just about every other example, the homeowner is able to do that work for 2/3 to half the price, especially since they already have those contractors on site doing the majority of that work for the development that they have.
Yeah, sometimes
So-
the trustees did that too. They give the money back. Well, they're gonna do that.
And then just as an aside, if somebody wanted, if the community wanted to dedicate the private road to the town, would they have to
They're
bring it up
required
to town standards?
They're required to go through the Town Law 200 process. If they were to bring it up to town standards and say, hey, here, give it to the town wouldn't take it. We would make them go through the Town Law 200 process. We have
Fix it
to
up.
dedicate it. We have to have TBRs. We have to verify that those improvements are satisfactory to the town. So it's always better to go through the process than to try and fix the road yourself and then give it to the town.
Tom,
Yeah.
what kind of inspection requirements are there? When you mentioned that, they could possibly do it with other companies for a third or half the price.
Yeah, of course.
Very often I find that, with less, you get less. And, are these being inspected, engineering
They are.
for,
The
road bed
difference-
and drainage? and
Primarily the difference that I'm talking about
engineering
is
calculations.
just not having to pay prevailing wage.
Mhm. Oh, I get
The
it.
town and municipalities are required to pay prevailing wage rates. So, but at every step of the way, we're there to inspect. We inspect the drainage structures that are installed. We look at them before they're backfilled. We check the piping connections. We make sure that they're the proper depth below grade, that they're proper distance to groundwater. If there's asphalt going in, we check the compaction of the base, compaction of the RCA, and then we're there when they're paving.
This is Thomas.
Yeah, no,
Right.
it's me.
He says
Yeah.
we, but it's
And
Tom.
some of the roads are currently cinder or they've got an aggregate.
Yes.
I mean, when we say improve those roads, are we just saying put back what was there?
Well, it's
kind
on
of
a
a country
case by
road?
case situation. We look at the neighborhood. We look at what's been working for them or not been working for them. For example,
Mhm.
there's a road in Flanders. I believe it was Point Road, off of over by the Goodale property up there by Iron Point.
Yeah.
It was a kind of compacted RCA road for a while.
Surrounded by wetlands.
Honestly, a Jeep trail. We asked for bluestone to go in because of the sensitive nature of that property. Other roads we pave because there's been a pavement there and it's easier just to put pavement back. There are some roads over in off of Lewis Road that one gentleman, it's his pride and joy to run a grader and compact millings on that road. So when the new development came in, we had them widen it with millings because that's what's been used on that road. So we do it on a case by case example. We look at how much work. We also piecemeal the work. So if there's an 8-lot development coming in and all those houses are expected to be built, we prepare 8 steps to getting to a full road, right? So the first one's going to come in and cut the trees down. The second one's going to come in and clear the road base. The third one's going to come in and put drainage. We kind of incrementally step that based on what type of development is going in for that particular area. Now, is the first one going to build a lot more and the second one's less? I mean, probably, but we have broken it up fairly across those different houses so that by the end of the day, I've laid out a roadmap for potentially somebody in the future to come in and be like, all right, oh, this house is coming in. Well, we're on step 3. This is what you need to do. And
in that case scenario, the goal be that they build a road that's up to town standard to be dedicated to the town?
Not typically. So those are subdivision applications that at the beginning of the subdivision, we understand that you're trying to get this road taken into the town highway system. If it's I'm talking more of old filed map developments that those roads, it's unlikely that they'll ever be in the town highway system.
They connect all the private roads.
But yeah, as part of that development, we require covenants that they adhere to the road review process. And then as part of that covenant, we have the prescriptive steps laid out already for them.
A few years ago, Bridgehampton was a couple of private roads. They went into the town roads. Meadow Lane.
Yeah,
Meadowlark.
That was a town law 200 process, where every homeowner, not every homeowner, some were against it, but the majority of the homeowners petitioned the town, and we created a special taxing district, and the homeowners bore the costs of that development to bring that road up to town highway standards, which was regrading, which was installing drainage, widening, stop signs, the like, curbing in some cases around the drainage structures. And there's a 15-year taxing district across that. So
that looks nice.
It looks great. But the point is that it's borne by those homeowners on that private road. The town does not pay to take in private roads.
There's another one in Watermill too, right? What's his name? What was the name of that road? Kind of Watermill, North Sea.
They did it in Butcher Lane in Noyak.
Yeah, that's correct.
I'm sure it's frustrating for people that live on the private roads in these developments and they can't get their neighbors to agree to do something, but there's nothing we can do unless they go through that.
Yeah. Especially when they've been able to maintain this road to a decent standard, and then somebody comes in and builds a new house and destroys the whole thing, and then they sell it, and
or they end up
they're
with
out.
trade parade traffic through it every morning, and it gets destroyed that way.
Yep.
Yeah.
But I mean, in that case, they have more options of closing their road down and putting in speed bumps, and
it's outside of the town's highway system in that regard.
But usually when we do this, when the road review committee meets to do this, it's with respect to the property pretty much in front of the vacant lot that will become a home.
From the nearest cross street.
Rebuilt lot.
From the nearest cross street to that property is what we look at.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense to improve
cross
just
street.
in front of that house if the preceding 1,000 feet are muddy ruts, right?
Yeah.
So,
like Councilman McNamara just said, it's not just in front of the house that's going to be impacted.
yeah, correct.
Yeah.
Correct. We try not to go past the house.
It's got to be reasonably
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. I didn't know this was
Since,
going on.
since we're here discussing this, there are subdivisions that have gone in and there were right-of-ways that have been established, but the construction company, whoever did the subdivision, opted not to put a road in that right-of-way. There are subdivisions with paper roads.
Okay.
And sometimes they have one road in, one road out, and at the time it was a good idea, and now folks may or may not want that to change. And that would be subject to Town Law 200. The people in that subdivision could potentially organize themselves to reopen a road or get another exit or entrance. No.
The Town Law 200 is basically just bringing a private road into the highway system. It sounds like what you're talking about is more like opening up road reverters or opening up future roads, right? Like, I think those go back to the planning board. The ZBA has seen a lot of those lately where there's a road reverter going right, a future road reverter going right through the middle of their lot that was supposed to link up to another subdivision. Is that what you're talking about?
Well, there's a lot of different scenarios here
Yeah,
of
but the
what I'm
town law
talking
200
about.
is only taking a private road and having the highway system.
Okay, here's a
bring it in.
question. Why would the road not be paved from the get-go when the subdivision?
I mean,
Potentially due to age. So any
Right.
subdivision occurring now, we have road and drainage standards.
But years ago.
Correct.
Was none.
Or heck, it could have been paved 40 years ago and deteriorated to the point where it's almost unrecognizable, but
Mhm.
nobody's been required to maintain it. So,
And
it's-
reasonably, the people on that road, it's worked for them. They like the rustic nature or
Right.
whatever.
potentially, yeah.
you
Okay.
get some of that too, right? People don't want to be on an open road. They like
Mhm.
the privacy of sometimes.
And
So
that's
that comes with
that's their right.
Okay, thank you.
The town does not proactively go out and look for TL 200s. We respond to requests, and we'll follow through on those requests as best we can. But we're not looking to take roads. And road review isn't modifying any sort of ownership. Road review is prescribing to that homeowner that, hey, we expect you to make these improvements to this road as part of your building construction, and that's the end of it. And we're not even prescribing who pays for those improvements. If that homeowner wants to go to the rest of their neighbors and be like, hey, the town's making me do this, do you guys want to chip in? That's on the table as well. We're just asking that those specific improvements are completed by someone prior to C of O.
We have the hammer when it's on a new subdivision approval where we have
Yeah.
authority, or in the situations where
And we take care of that all of that in the planning process.
right. So you have a chance when you're holding up a CO, you have some authority there. Otherwise, right, you don't have authority. Just knock on the door and tell somebody.
Well, I think this is a great idea.
Perfect.
Glad
Yes.
you brought it to us. So you'll prepare
Yep, I'll do a code amendment, I'll set it for hearing,
amendment.
and then
strong
we'll
through.
see what the public thinks.
Yeah.
Thank
And,
you.
you know, if you
Thank
ever think of any other code changes that you think are appropriate, bring them in. Let us hear about them.
All right. Thanks,
Thank
Sam.
you.
Thank you,
Thank
Tom.
you.
Thanks, Gail.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
I'd like just 5 minutes before we start the next topic. So, just to get a cup of tea.
Oh, yeah.
So, what do I have to, you know,
No, you're just taking a. What's that?
just give me a minute. Right. I gotta get this to James. Could you just give us a minute? Janice, I'm gonna take you.
Hello.
you?
How are you?
How are you?
Long time no see.
There. Hi. Good. How are you?
I don't have the other ones yet.
Hey. Good.
Thank you, sir.
How are you?
Thank you.
I'm actually Daryl. I'm Bill. Okay. Thank you.
Bill.
Bill.
Can you move the mic back a little closer to you?
Thank you.
Gave myself a paper cut. Paper cut.
Oh,
Like this.
Sorry.
That's okay. It's Daryl's fault. Oh, it's
That's right. Anything happens, just blame it on Daryl.
Is everybody leaving?
Yeah, well, the getting's good.
Well, we can decide.
Okay, what are we doing, you guys? So, Bill, we were trying to brainstorm some buffering ideas at Love Park this morning. So, I don't know, maybe we could get some grant money for some like more mature trees and
Irrigation.
plantings, yeah. there is irrigation, and those trees were in good shape last time I was there. So I don't know why she keeps saying there's dead evergreens.
Maybe you could find a tree which you can put in between them.
That's what we were thinking. Yeah.
Like a holly.
Yep.
We're on the same page, Bill.
Yeah.
Where people, it's hard for either animals and deer and people.
Yep.
Because I'm afraid if you make an alleyway between the fence and the trees, it's a good place for people to hang out.
Yeah, I was even thinking maybe a holly tree that was made to like a lollipop. Like they can do that where they come up and then so maybe it's like 2 levels of trees. You have like the
No,
the
they're
lower.
too expensive.
They're too expensive. Oh.
Yeah, we can't get too worried.
Morning, Daryl. How are you?
I'm good.
Kristen.
Those are special.
Good morning. Yes.
What was it?
I'm
He
tired.
said to be
I
smiling.
had trouble
when he
getting
come
sleep
in.
last night. Yeah. So many topics. No.
That's it.
I just get
Thank
wired.
you for thinking of your job. Yeah, thunder last night.
Yeah, it was like flashing on the way home. Yeah. But
I just met
are
Bill
we?
and I already
It's
assaulted
not
him.
recording right now,
I
right?
gave him a paper
No, we
cut.
are probably.
Okay.
I gave him a paper cut.
He's pretty tough. I would
Yes.
wear that paper guy.
It's not making me go home.
Yeah. He's at worse.
Yeah, from him. He's pretty good. Making a happy sense of humor.
Oh no, that goes back generations, Bill.
But how long is there another neighbor right behind? I've been there before. I was,
She's the only one who is on that side of the park.
Yeah.
Was this the one that had the trees fall down? We redid the fence there, right?
No, this is a different situation. She wants more buffering between the park. Her house is right next door to Ludlam Park, and she's saying when people are on the playground, they can see over into her yard and just the noise and everything. So there are evergreens there, but they're not like super tall yet. So we're thinking maybe we could apply for some CDBG money to do some additional plantings and maybe even put in some like butterfly, like catmints and like pollinator, so that it's like kind of like also
So when
like
she
a
sees
benefit
it,
in
that
that
so
way.
happy
And it's
because
like
there's so many beautiful
a little
flowers.
color, because every time I'm there, I'm like, this park needs color. It's just like kind of green drab, but yeah. So
The increase in technology with the speakers, with the battery in the speaker.
yeah,
That's kind of new.
it is true. Like it's a
And then you can bring in
challenge.
the enclosed speaker with your cell phone and blast.
And
that
even
thing.
just like a wireless
Yeah.
mic is like so
Exactly.
easy to like hook up to the speaker nowadays.
I know we
Yeah.
had them, but now it's easier.
Yeah, I mean, you could get a little
Jim.
speaker this big and it like plays insane sound. So, I mean, I don't know that we want to go to like no music because then, I mean, most people are responsible, but that person knew that they were not supposed to have a DJ. You know,
Right.
they knew.
All right, good. Well, let's move ahead with our next update on current and future parks and recreation capital projects. We've got Kristen Doulos, Town Parks Director, Daryl Balmer, Assistant Town Parks Director, and I see that Matt is here.
Yep, from McLean Associates.
Thank you.
So good morning.
Morning.
We have a lot of projects that we're working on, but we wanted to highlight some of the current projects that are in progress and kind of close to coming to completion, and also kind of give a little snapshot into what we're looking to do in the upcoming 3 years. So this isn't all of the projects, but we wanted to key in on some of them. So at Red Creek Park, we are currently redoing a lot of the courts there, which were about 25 to 30 years old, some of them. The cracks were beyond repair, and so it was great that we focused in on replacing those facilities, and we took out the existing bank of 6 tennis courts there, replaced it with post-tension concrete courts, so there'll be 8 pickleball courts and 3 tennis courts put back in that footprint, and that is slated to be completed in July. They just have to essentially paint lines and the surfacing there. The basketball courts, they were ripped out also. Those were basically unplayable at this point. So that system is being put back in asphalt, and that will be completed in July of 2024. We are turfing the west ball field infield there. That is slated to be completed in September of 24. And then the hockey rink, we received some CDBG funds to do a new surfacing system there.
That was the funds that were allocated for Bridgehampton, and we redirected to Hampton Bays.
Yes, yeah, so we had some funding, and then that helped us get to the amount that we needed. So that was, again, another spot that was in desperate need of repair. We had done crack repairs on all of these courts over the course of the time I've been in parks, and probably prior to that. It was really just pouring good money after bad. Repairs that we would do would be resurfacing the season later.
I was going to ask if that actually worked.
Yeah, no. It really didn't. I mean, just the weather conditions up here, and then with the surfacing that were below those courts, like they weren't prepared, the bases weren't prepared, as well as they are nowadays either. So it was desperately needed, and it's wonderful that we're able to kind of revitalize that park and get it up to a safe and updated standard. We also applied for some CDBG funding to repair the sidewalks and curbing around the activity center building there. They were also not in the best shape. Yeah, a lot of rooted areas coming up, trip hazards. It really wasn't ADA compliant. We actually had someone trip and hurt themselves. So we received CDBG money for that, and we're going to do those repairs in November if weather and funding lines up. Otherwise, we'll be doing it in spring of 2025. So Red Creek is getting a nice facelift.
Is all these current projects were already the money was allocated with bonds? I know that we had for this year, last year, that it was in the basketball courts and the synthetic turf and drainage improvements at Red Creek.
The prior year, yes, it was all bonded. The pickleball courts, I think, were bonded in 23. So, okay. Yes, that was all bonded.
Had one of our residents asking about the status of the pickleball courts at the town board meeting the other night.
Oh, really? We get that question a lot. We were hoping they'd be done by the end of June, but we are bumped into July a little bit, so they're coming. But that people were so desperate to play pickleball, they were playing on the hockey rink. We had put temporary lines and portable net systems there, but those courts are basically, at least half of them, I would say, are really shouldn't be played on.
Yeah, what happens is that with the crack repair system, eventually the slabs and the levels of the asphalt continue to settle and move, and so then you start getting pieces that are coming up, and it just kind of makes it dangerous. So.
Make it a little more challenging game.
Yeah, that's true.
We also have a lot of people who are roller skating now. We have a group that comes regularly to roller skate, and we have people who are really interested in playing deck hockey. So I think once that's up once that's up to a nice standard to skate on and play on, I think it's gonna get a lot of use. And that's actually a lit rink, so we could do fun nighttime like skating events and things like that. We just have been hesitant to do those sorts of things for the past few years.
What's a lifetime on that? Excuse me.
On that surfacing,
it's
a warranty of
so it's actually a tile system that's made with a plastic kind of material, and it's got a lifetime warranty on it.
And you can repair the tile.
And you can pick pieces of it up. You can do additional crack repairs if we find a crack opens up underneath it over the years. We just pull up a section, repair
so it's like the interlocking
put it back
down system.
Exactly.
Okay, is it going to be site prep? The subsurface preparation.
Yes.
We're going
They're
to
gonna
do
do
it.
all the crack repair prior to that, cut out all the bad cracks, fix all that, make it bulletproof, and then put the system on top
It's
of
the
it.
winters that does.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The
it's
ice, the water gets in
the
there.
contraction and
Mhm.
expansion, yeah.
Okay.
And that be able to use year round.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yep.
Yep.
Yep, you,
Yeah.
you tell them what design you want on the tiles, and that's how they manufacture them,
Yeah,
So
and the
this is
tiles.
everything. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was going to say the tiles are actually perforated too, so they allow water and stuff to percolate through them and drain off, just the way the current system works. Yeah, so it just kind of no issues with water or pooling or anything like that on the surfaces.
Yeah, that's great.
It's going to be great, yeah.
So it looks
People
like you've
enjoy it.
taken care of everything.
Except for the skate park.
The skate park.
The skate park is it needs to be fully redone at this point. It was an old skate light system. The framing underneath is rotting out. We've been making repairs. The repairs are also expensive. Skate light isn't cheap, and a lot of times we have to then go in and redo portions of the framing. But really, it's at a point where we should be looking to tear it all out and replace. And the systems we had researched and we actually met with the consultant who worked on the Montauk Skate Park, along with Matt, who was the consultant on the Montauk Skate Park. So we've had some discussions about potential designs, and we would be looking to go with more of like a plaza type design, as they refer to it. Right now, the features in the park are for higher level skating. The plaza style skating invites more use of all levels of skating, and it would be concrete. So you could also allow for biking on it, scootering.
In other words, be more multi-use.
More multi-use. Right now, we're always trying to keep bicycles out of there because it's not good on the equipment, and we've always tried to keep an attendant there in the past because it is more of a high level course. So we're making sure they had helmets on, and we're signing waivers, and people just want to come and be able to skate and not have to wait for like a gate to get unlocked and like pay their fee. And that's really the way all the skating industry is going in. It's just making them like these unsupervised areas that are not so challenging, but also invite areas for like maybe some trees in the middle with benches where the parents could sit while their kid is like riding their bike around. So I don't know if you want to add anything to that. You know more.
Montauk was a huge success, and Montauk does have plaza style skating section. Then it has a very difficult pool and another like intermediate section, but it's unfenced, unsupervised, and the whole idea with that is you're skating at your own risk. There are kids out there that are like 3 years old skating, and there are people that are probably 65, 70 years old skating and enjoying the park. So this one, I'm not trying to replicate Montauk. It would be, more of like a street skating type park, with some landscape features in it and areas for parents to sit and watch.
It's safer than doing it on the street.
Yeah.
It's safer than the street, and it's safer than the current park.
What we were finding is when the skate park wasn't open, the kids would be skating in Good Ground Park. They'd be in the downtown area. They'd be hopping the fence to get into the park. Then we're yelling at them for hopping the fence.
Climbing a fence.
Yeah, and it was
Really,
just
they're just kids trying to go to the
right.
park.
But for us, it was always like, well, because it is a challenging, high ramps and bowls and things. Like we weren't letting anyone under 7 skate. We weren't letting anyone under like whatever it was 12 without a parent. Like it was really complicated, and then to get people to like work at the park and try to collect the fee, like it was just an ongoing battle. And really it should be a nice thing that people can just come and
there's no fee on
enjoy.
it. Just
we did have a skate park fee, like an annual membership fee or a daily fee, but we did away with that about a year ago. Where we open it up when we have attendance in the park regularly, but we don't require the fee anymore.
Now Montauk has become a bit of a destination for
Montauk,
skaters.
they actually
They come out Now, it's out on the peninsula, it's out on the end of the island, so that,
It is.
you have to travel quite a ways to get there from, if you're not in Southampton or East Hampton Town.
Right, and there are, we met somebody actually when we were with Tito that skates in Montauk. He was at Red Creek waiting for it to open. And I've seen him out at Montauk. Montauk actually, the school district made a bus stop at the skate park. So they actually stop at the skate park and let the kids out and the kids, skate. There are workers that come out that'll skate at 6 o'clock in the morning. They go up, they show up early and skate. So it's a destination.
Okay.
And it has not attracted any sort of bad elements. It's a very family friendly type of park. So
it's good.
So that is what we would see as the future projects that we would be looking to do at Red Creek. Other than that, like you said, a lot of other elements have been brought up. There may be some other more minor things we'd be looking to improve, like some of the parking areas and things like that. But that would be the big ask. North Sea Park, that's been a location that the town has been investing a lot of money in over the course of the past at least 8 years that I've been in my position. Not all the amenities we've put in are here because we've just focused on the last couple of years. So as you know, we put in 4 pickleball courts there, post-tension concrete, hugely successful. I have to give Daryl credit because he really worked hard on redesigning the little skate pocket park there.
I want to know how much that cost. That's a good idea.
It was just under $200,000. It was quite a challenge because some of the money came from CDBG funding and just trying to find other sources to kind of pool the money together. We had actually also worked with Tito Parada to kind of give us a concept. His concept was to go full concrete. We couldn't afford full concrete because the full concrete design was like $500,000. So we had to go out to a company that makes like metal ramp systems that are also, they have like a 20 to 25 year life expectancy. But the big win there was that the old skate park was an asphalt system. So what would happen is those metal ramps, they would sit there in the hot sun, they would sink into it, and they'd create these like divots, like these kind of edges that would create a hazard for skaters coming down. So the big win for that park was to put in concrete and get it to be a nice surface that the kids can don't have to worry about that element becoming a problem.
With the concrete, is there any maintenance on that?
There shouldn't be. It's got essentially the same life expectancy that we would expect for like a Montauk style park. It was finished with what they call a helicopter like finishing machine. So it's like this giant that kind of polishes the slabs and makes them very smooth so that it's perfect for skating. What was that?
I actually did that in my high school.
Oh yeah. I mean, they do that in stores. Like if you go into Home Depot, you see the floors are all polished, and looking smooth. So it's essentially the same process, and that was a big win there to be able to get the funding to make that happen, so that we didn't have to worry about the ramps being 25-year life expectancy ramps, but 12 years down the road, we're seeing these these kind of heaving divot areas where kids are getting caught in the wheels and stuff. So that park is beautiful.
What would you say the size is roughly?
It's around 4,000 square feet. So actually, it also was we actually cut it down in size too, because the original skate park was 12,000 square feet. So that was also a thing. We had to work with the community to kind of package the park so that because just to put it in reference, the skate park at Red Creek Park is 14,000 square feet. So if you look at the difference of the two of them, they were really, one was kind of not even nearly as built up as the Red Creek one, had like less than half the features, but it was such a wide area. So we said, if we really want to, make this into a pocket skate park, we have to make it smaller a little bit. And the feedback, initially the feedback was, oh, it's, you're taking, 2/3 of the park away. But I think after it was all put together and they realized that it was very well thought out, they love it now. They haven't, we hear good feedback from
On the average, how many people use it at one time?
I would say it's not as many as you would think. Maybe it's, On a weekend, you might get maybe 20 people coming out there. We see a lot of bikes, a lot of parents taking their kids with bikes there. There's also, if I go there like on a weekday, I'll see maybe 1 or 2 people. Like
It can accommodate that many people.
At one time.
oh yeah,
At one
oh
time.
yeah. It's a, I mean, if you it's
at
a
one time.
big it's a big open like slab. I mean, it seems small when you say 4,000 square feet, but it's a pretty large area really. And there's areas to the side. It's grassy around there, so we've tried to put in some picnic tables. We do have some plans to add a couple more amenities, like some more benches, picnic tables to that area. But these are all small cost items that we're going to work over the next couple of years to.
And you said that
Hands
one
up.
at Red Creek is about 14,000 square feet. With this
14,000.
proposed new one, would that be the same size or larger?
It's about the same footprint.
Yeah, we would
Does it
work.
have lights on it?
Yes, it does actually.
Which one, the new one?
The Red Creek has lights.
Will they use at nighttime?
We haven't lately, but in the past they used to do some night skating.
But and the new one will still have the lights up.
Well, yeah, if we design it to
Fit the
at
lights.
least a portion of it could.
Right, we wouldn't necessarily take the lights down
Yeah.
in the park because we really basically just want to stay within the footprint of the existing park. And if there was any sort of expansion, it would head towards the west. But for the most part, we wanted to try to maintain the same footprint.
Yeah.
And then there were some switches around instead of more 2 more pickleball courts. What was happening? You were going to improve the bocce courts
Yes.
and only add 1 more pickleball court.
So one more court is in progress right now, and that's slated to be completed in August. They already started. Did they pour the concrete?
They are going to be pouring the concrete at the end of July.
Okay.
And then there'll be a wait time to. No, I'm sorry.
No,
They're
yeah.
going to be pouring it this week.
Yes, yeah,
It'll
yeah.
be done by the end of July, and then it'll take them about 2 weeks to do the lines and netting systems and stuff like that. So we're probably looking at like mid-August for that, for that extra pickleball court to be completed.
The bocce courts we're looking to do in the fall. We were trying to avoid the when the most play was going on, which is this time of year. So we were trying not to impede on that.
Yeah. The contractor already has a PO for that work, and they've scheduled us for literally as soon as the bocce league is done with their season, contractor moves in and starts tearing out, and we build new.
Okay, and we approved the bonds for all that
Correct.
earlier this year.
Yep. And did you say the playground? The playground is the site is prepared.
Yes.
The equipment is ordered, and they are planning to do installation around mid-July. I think that's the last I saw.
Yeah. They
Yeah.
said that the equipment should be arriving at the installer's site, their warehouse area by the end of this month, and then sometime in the next week or 2 they'll be mobilizing out to the site to erect the new playground.
Great.
So that'll be nice.
Yeah, very nice.
Yeah, this playground has some features that we've never
Yes.
worked with before. So
Yes,
this
it's a
is going to
very
be kind of
inclusive.
unique. Yeah.
Yes, it's
What
a very.
do you mean? Like what?
It's an inclusive. It's geared toward inclusivity for people with ADA needs and things like that. So like some of the equipment has wheelchair accessible features, like
That's
where you
nice.
can put. Yeah, it's actually really cool. There's actually this like kind of like merry-go-round thing in the middle that you can actually get a wheelchair onto because it's level with the surfacing of the playground, because the whole playground is going to have a rubberized surfacing material. And the merry-go-round, like those spinny things that the kids kind of.
Yeah.
So in past years they were elevated and you had to climb up onto them. This one's actually flat and flush with the surface, so you can actually bring a wheelchair into it, and then somebody in a wheelchair can
You don't
enjoy
have to
the
worry about
feature.
kids getting their finger caught.
And you don't have to worry about getting caught underneath it and stuff like that. Yeah.
And we also extended the sidewalks down further so that everything is connecting ADA now. Now the sidewalk will connect to the playground and we'll go all the way up to the restroom facility and we'll connect up to the bocce courts and
Oh,
to the
great.
pickleball
Awesome.
courts. And all of that, has only come about in the past few years where we've been adding all those elements. So we're really, bringing it up to a standard, hopefully where everybody can enjoy.
Yes. And
Thank
the final portion of that will be we're going to request some CDBG money in August to put a final piece of the sidewalk in to connect over to the SYS facility.
Mhm.
So that anybody who's using their programs will be able to get to all the other features within the park.
I have a side question. Do you think the solar panels at the dump's going to affect the reflection at the playground at all?
I don't know. I've been watching as they've been, you know, putting them up, like wondering, like, oh, I wonder how
So I
that
go
will.
back to my truck on the road, you know, and I looked and I walked back down to the side. I was still, you know, I said, and I actually was talking to Ed one time, Thompson, but maybe you have to put trees down there.
Yeah. I don't think you have to worry about the playground people. I think you have to worry about the pickleball people getting glare in their eyes, because they're the ones that are gonna
They're up on the hill there.
be
kind of,
upset.
you know,
Yeah.
Very vocal.
Yes.
Yeah, that's true also.
If they
That
start
is true.
having a glare in their eyes, it's
We'll
we'll be
hear about
hearing
it.
about it. So
From the solar panels on the top of the cell, right? They're going to be put on the top of the
Top of
cell.
the cell,
and it's-
On the top of the cap, yeah.
okay.
Along the side, I think, too.
Yeah, it looks like
I mean,
the
we
first
asked that
phase they've put them like kind of almost, you know, right off the fence line, like between the park and the transfer station there.
Yeah.
Because we were there the
That
other
was
day.
the area they added,
Oh, they added area.
yeah, because it is
And-
right there.
where the mulch
Yeah.
was.
Yeah, did they actually talk about, worry about that when they designed?
No.
No? They don't care about
So-
that.
Maybe buffering in the future would be nice. It's kind of raised though, so it might be a little challenging, but
Be one of those things we'll have to see.
Complain about, come to the town board and complain.
Yeah, no, the residents will be coming to the town board to complain.
hopefully
But,
hopefully it won't be an issue.
Get some trees in.
Oh, and so Daryl mentioned the additional work we'd be looking to do there is we're going to ask in this round of CDBG for $50,000 to extend the sidewalk, as he said, from the playground to the little footbridge that connects into the SYS parking lot area.
Maybe it could, you know, wasn't there 50,000 in there for the basketball court this year? So it could just be, you know,
Yeah,
the
we
same
we
50,000.
actually, I was talking to Kristen, depending on how the budget plays out for the bocce ball courts, there may be funding left that we may be able to do that like at the end of this year rather than waiting till the end of next year to do that. That'd be my preference, but
Yeah.
we just have to see, you know, costs are always moving, and
You-
so we just have to keep an eye on that.
You set that out and put it in-house.
We have a contractor that is on the county requirements contract, DL Concrete, and they, you know, they've been working with the town and with the Parks Department for as long as I know.
As long as
yeah.
I've been in
Yeah, so I mean, we have a good working relationship with them. They do really good work.
Chris, I just want to bring it up because it's not in here. There was a plan to do outdoor exercise equipment, a pad of outdoor exercise equipment, and we had looked at Good Ground Park, but it's just really tight there. So we would like to move it to the Maritime Park by the Recreation Activity Center. We just need to reassign it because right now through CDBG it is at Good Ground, but it's just it'd be by the bathrooms, and it was a request when I was on the Disability Advisory Committee because it's just a nice thing to have because there's some of these kids that have sensory issues that can't go into a gym to do exercises and stuff. So this is outdoors, and we thought by the canal would be a really nice scenic place to have it by the pavilion, out of the way, so that we can still do the comfort station if anyone who wants to. But there's plenty of room there, and it's more central to the town.
So relocated from Good
From
Ground
Good Ground
Park.
to the Maritime Park.
Yeah, they would have to do an amendment of the resolution that you guys did to approve the CDBG projects. So,
So I just wanted to check.
yeah,
with
they would
everybody
have
before we
to,
put that.
Kara and Julie.
We just did that resolution Tuesday.
That one?
About the CDBG. We changed
No,
something.
No, this was from a prior year. So this was a 2023 release,
so.
but it was a multi-year funding project. So it hasn't been done yet, but it was in an older resolution.
So I
Not
think
the- not
I
the
still
recent
redo
one.
the resolution.
Yeah.
But I just
Yeah.
wanted to check with you all before we did it. It's just kind of tight at Good Ground, and it would the only place really we could put it was next to the bathrooms.
I would have to, I mean, the only two locations really would be that central spot, like you said, like where everything's, all the amenities kind of are. And I think it would maybe
And it would
block
be where
the
we
view.
had when we had the CPF and if everybody came to the
Right,
CPF
when we
thing,
have
we had the
events.
vendors and events, you wouldn't be able to use that space anymore.
Yeah, that's true.
The only other potential spot would be in that circle as you drive in, but it's kind of away from, if the whole idea was like, you know, if your kids are running around, you could be on the equipment, and that would kind of separate those
Yeah.
two things. And it's very uneven in that spot too. So
So now
but
we're saying
the
it
Maritime
would go
Park,
where?
yeah, it would. The Maritime Park on Newtown Road, which is where our office is. It has the covered
yeah.
pavilion there right
Yeah.
now, and so we would put it on that property.
There's really no active recreation things there at this point.
It's just picnic tables.
No,
right?
it's just a covered pavilion.
Do you
with
think
picnic
people would
tables.
come to use it?
There's more and more people coming to use the pavilion.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of people eating breakfast there. A lot of times when I'm leaving work, people are sitting at the picnic tables. So
It's a nice spot.
it is.
It is a
It's you know,
Did you get a breeze
people
from the
walk
canal?
there along the canal. So
Watch the traffic go by.
I think it would be a nice spot for it. Yeah.
Okay.
We could send you like a rendering of what the equipment looks like and everything, just so you have an idea of like, all right, what are they talking about putting there?
Yeah.
You can
Thank
plan
you.
it so if you ever wanted to,
Do people use the?
Yeah, we would keep it away from like. There is a potential spot where we already put infrastructure for like a potential future restroom and sanitary system. It's connected to the sanitary system, so we would stay away from that.
The designs of that was to be a passive park. Now
Mhm.
this would be a more active use. Is there any issues with that?
Um,
I'm thinking not, but I want to ask the question.
I don't know. I think it would be still a passive use, but I could ask Jackie about that. Yeah.
Was it a CPF acquisition?
It could be, yes, it's a CPF
Which one?
purchase, but
Oh,
so
the
is Good
Maritime.
Ground Park. But Good Ground Park is more of an active park, and
Yeah,
that was the
depends on-
intention when it was designated. But
We generally, if we do it under that one provision on CPF, it's kind of gives you quite a bit of leeway.
yeah,
County was much more defined as far as.
and we're talking about just like pull-up bars. You know, we wouldn't want to get into the equipment that has like weights on it or anything like that.
No, this is all like use your own body.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
that stuff.
Yeah.
Like you've seen them like
Yeah,
the
yeah.
trails
Along
and
the
so
trail,
forth.
yeah. Mouth of the hospital has it right here. Anyway, but, yeah. No, that's fine.
Yeah, put it over by the road.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could put that, something like that over at the West Hampton Community Center too. There's so much outdoor space there.
Yeah.
We're talking about that, some bocce courts.
Have you seen people use on the opposite side of the canal, the trail, the boardwalk that runs along the?
I haven't
Rec road.
noticed one way or the other, to be honest.
Oh, is that open to
The
public
floating,
use?
yeah, the floating
Yeah,
raft
the
with no
one
handrails.
closer.
Is that what it is?
The
Is
one
that what it is?
closer
Yeah.
to the bridge is open to the public.
Oh,
There's
really?
like,
I mean,
Work
yeah.
on your balance.
Yeah, I mean, it's like if there's somebody fishing, like you gotta like, I don't know, go buy them on a floating raft that has no handrail. It's kind of sketchy.
But I do see a lot more use of our office
Yes.
pavilion.
Oh yeah. Once the
Yeah.
pavilion was built and the
It's a
parking.
beautiful pavilion.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
it is.
And the park, having all that extra parking there really does pay off because you can have people come there and have lunch and
And with John Irwin getting the Purple Martins involved.
Exactly.
Of course.
It's fun. to sit and
Keeping the
watch.
mosquitoes away.
Yes, that is true.
Alright, sorry I interrupted.
That's what we're here for. East Quogue Village Green, the playground, I'm sure, Cindy, I think you've been asked by a lot of the community members the past couple of years.
Playground is older than my 20-year-old daughter.
It's old, and it's a toddler playground, so it's really not good for kids over the age of like maybe 3 to 5. So we'd be looking to do a bit of a redesign, make it a little bit more,
Families go there for the concerts in
Inviting.
the park, and it's a very limited, danky.
Good spot.
And for that
Yeah.
request, we would also be looking to put like a safety surfacing in, whereas now it's all wood chips.
It's wood chips.
So,
It's a weird
you know,
configuration.
yeah.
It's a lot of the
Yeah.
equipment they don't
Swings
even
of
like
wood
sell
chips are all-
anymore.
yeah. So we would be looking to put a safety surfacing in that's a little more maintenance friendly and doesn't require wood chips being replaced every year or grading and things like that. So.
And what would be involved with the playground besides the surfacing?
We would want to potentially reconfigure the existing layout. I mean, it would be in the same corner of the park. It's just sort of an odd shape right now. That it would be difficult to get any type of equipment in there because all the equipment require fall zones around them, and the way it is right now is like very tight in every area. I think if you just reconfigured it a little differently, you could have a much better layout.
Just turn it so you still can see it from the road.
Yeah. We wouldn't be looking to like move it out of that spot. Yeah. There's also a lot of trees, so maybe some trees could get cut back a little bit, pruned, because it gets very shady in there too. So we'd be looking to do that, and then
But
there's
not replacing equipment?
Oh yeah,
Oh, no,
it would be a
replacing
complete tear out of everything there. I'm sorry, and would be looking to put new equipment.
Seems like 300,000 might not be enough money for that.
Well, it depends how much we want to do.
Right, the playground at North Sea Park was 350,000, but that's a very large footprint. Like, so there's a lot of safety, a lot of additional safety tiling.
It was also a very expensive piece of equipment that we
Right,
got.
right,
That
the one-
was not something we've gotten in the past. It's a dome that has all sorts of climbing contraptions on it and
Right.
everything.
Can
We
take up to
have
50 kids on it. On
Wow.
one piece of equipment.
That was the North Sea one?
Yes. Yeah.
And that's a real number that you had for that? That was
That's
300?
already that's already
No, I mean-
that's already purchase order paid
Yeah,
for.
right,
Yeah,
yeah,
so
so,
yeah.
yeah.
So we know that that's a real number for that. But we have done playgrounds for less money than that. It all depends on what type of equipment you want.
Right.
Like the core structures that we typically get, like the ones you'll see at like Good Ground Park or Red Creek Park, those ones are less money than some of these. We actually used a different company at North Sea because we wanted to change it up a little bit. And also a lot of kids come out of the after school programs from SYS. So it gets a lot of use there. And again, we just wanted to try some different inclusive equipment than these core structures that you see in all of our parks. So it depends. It depends what we want there.
East Quogue is pretty high. Spot's a pretty high used park.
It is. They do have the elementary school down the street too, with a new playground. So we would want to take a look at that and maybe do something a little different so that it's offering some different things.
Choice.
Yeah.
And then just the paved elliptical walking path.
Currently it's a bluestone path, which it's expensive to maintain, but it also gets rutted out quite a bit. And the way the park pitches is the water runs down onto that area all the time and washes out. And you'll see in the stage area, it's like, after a storm, it'll be like an inch of silt that, we're trying to clean up and then
You can't
it
even see
becomes
the
washed
pavers.
out again.
You go down there after a storm, you're like, where are the pavers around the stage area? And they're gone. They're covered under, like inches or material. And you're like, okay, send the guys out to dig it all and put it back upstream,
So we wanted to figure out something that was, essentially like low, no maintenance, but also it is a path that's walked constantly.
CPF do that as an
Well,
ADA?
we've spoken with them a few times. We haven't gotten like a final answer, but I think if it were potentially ADA, and we would want to go maybe with like a permeable paver type of material, I'm hoping that that's something that maybe they can work with. I don't know. I have heard in the past they mentioned like, earthen pathways, so I don't know. But maybe with the ADA element, they have been able to pay for ADA elements before.
The drainage will have to be corrected. French drains or something.
Yes. And
well,
drainage.
we met there and we were talking about doing, because where it does drain to is the headwaters of this creek. So we were talking about doing like a rain garden there or something to kind of help with that.
Now that I think they could definitely pay
yes,
for.
Jackie
Yeah.
said she would definitely do.
And that is a community preservation fund purchased park. So So we would be, as much as we could utilize.
I mean,
from
all the
them would be great.
evergreens that block out the junkyard for the car dealership, like not car dealership, the repair shop. They're all dying out on the bottom, and
Yeah.
so
Yeah, there's some really large trees there that require pruning. So need some TLC.
it's
need
been
some
it's been a
TLC.
long time since
Yeah.
a substantial amount of money was put into that park.
Yeah, we've been kind of band-aiding it. So we would like to start, bringing that up.
You know, one winter there was an ice rink in the middle of it.
Was there? That was.
I think before you, but there was one winter they set up an ice rink in the center, and it killed all the grass.
Yeah, I had heard that.
And it never froze.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Before I had heard of this ice rink that was donated to us apparently, and they tried
fire
to set it
department
up.
came and filled it.
Yeah,
and
at
it
our
never
office
froze.
too. Apparently, they
Yeah.
tried it, and it would never freeze.
Yeah.
And they could never really get it quite even.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that went away somewhere. I don't know.
Intensive maintenance on this.
Intensive,
Yeah,
and we just don't get
hazards.
freezing
Yeah.
temperatures anymore.
We, I mean, just historically, we see now other municipalities in the nearby area getting rid of their ice skating rinks.
There's a lot of maintenance costs.
They are a lot of maintenance costs. My previous employment was at the Village of Greenport, and they had, they actually had an ice skating rink that had compressors, condensers, and we had everything. A Zamboni, and they are done. I don't know if you guys have seen the news. They're done. They're not
Well, now
doing
there's
this.
one in Calverton, and
Right,
we
yeah,
had
yeah.
Southampton, and
Yeah.
then there's
Yeah.
was it Buckskill?
In East
Calverton
Hampton,
is,
yeah.
Skill, yeah.
Indoor, right?
You need it
Calverton's
inside
indoor,
You need it
to
inside,
control
yeah.
the weather, the
They had even
precipitation.
at one point looked at putting a bubble over it in the park there. Like this giant bubble.
Southampton, that's very well.
Yeah.
Yes.
Greenport
Yeah.
has one too.
Yeah, you're just saying.
All
It's
right.
not
But
gonna, no more.
No more
Oh,
Green
really?
Park.
That's what I was just saying. They're done.
Because Port Village has one.
Yeah.
And it seems to,
Yeah.
but they run it,
Yeah.
just a group out of
So now we're gonna talk about speed arc.
No.
Well,
We're going to talk about the second page
Rinks.
of
Rinks.
Hampton West.
yeah. So yeah, we have a lot. I'm
Whenever.
sorry.
No, this is great. This is what we need to hear.
Also shaded by the building too.
Yes, it's in a good location.
Helps it.
Actually. It's in a very good location. Yeah,
All right,
it's
let's-
stuck in, and then it would
Yeah.
help
Let's
a lot.
move on to Hampton West.
So I know we're trying to key in on existing parks that need work.
We
so
need to know. We have to keep, repair what we have.
Yeah.
I feel very strongly about that.
yeah, because we have been again throwing like good money after bad with a lot of these courts in particular. So Hampton West, that's in West Hampton, kind of across from Gabreski down Stewart Avenue in the Hampton West subdivision, and that is actually really our only park west of Red Creek Park in the town. We do have some parks in the northern part in the Flanders, Northampton area, but that's the only park really west. And they have one little league ball field, and there's tennis courts. We've converted some of those into pickleball courts. There's basketball courts. There's a soccer field area. So that park gets a lot of utilization. It doesn't currently have the parking needs that it really should have, and people end up parking on the street, and then the neighbors get upset. Also, the parking lot that is there is in very bad shape. It's half of it's dirt, half of it is like
Almost.
crumbling asphalt, and the courts there. They're another one where we've done crack repair, and you go back the next spring, and
The cracks
the
are all
cracks
back.
are back, or different cracks are emerging. It's actually heaving, where there's like grass growing in between the cracks. So I don't think it's worth band-aiding these courts anymore. I think it needs rehab a la Red Creek Park, a rip out and a rebuild, and maybe at that point we take an opportunity to do a little redesign to allow for more parking, because there is some unutilized space currently behind the courts that was like an old handball court that's just kind of back there that isn't really like accessible right now. So I think there's opportunity for some redesign, some additional parking. Also, that park has no comfort station. It is porta potties. So we would like to put a comfort station there.
Kristen, along that lines, there's also room behind, or it's north of the baseball field, right?
Yeah,
And
that's
kind of unutilized, and you can't really get at it because the baseball field is where it is.
Well, that's the soccer field.
Soccer.
Yeah, that's where a lot of soccer goes on there.
That's what I wanted to ask you
Yeah.
though. Is it used? I never see anyone using it. Maybe it just happens to be when I'm there because I was thinking, if it's not, we could put another 2 Little League fields there.
It's definitely used for soccer. It's like one of the only areas we have for soccer in our park system. So Hampton United plays there for sure. I don't know if your kids ever played there.
Played lacrosse there once, and the ticks were so bad that we
The ticks
stopped
are
playing.
really bad there, and that is one of the huge challenges that they have with
And
soccer
they played
there.
softball there or little league there
On the
and-
field, yeah, on the ball
and
field.
It's your cars get hit with foul balls.
We did put in a new backstop this
Oh.
year. That was part of our budget. We put in a new backstop with an overhang
Nice.
to help mitigate that because the parking is right on top of the ball field.
But even then, I mean, you would get if you got to the game late, you were parking on the road because you couldn't get parking.
Right. And then the local.
And then you get out of your car and you literally get told to move your car.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Let's do it. People, how they control.
Since you can't put lights there, and the parking's a problem, and this area has a lot of problems with the ticks and everything else, and you're gonna spend $2.3 million just to do the basics. And it's very limited. Would we be better off relocating this park to another area and take the money and put it and do Spionk, a huge park there?
We still need
So,
Hampton West.
Yeah, and just do this one, redesign it so it's just the bare minimum.
No, I mean it's a fair
It
question.
is a fair question.
I mean, would it be worth like maybe putting in another little league field and putting parking where the tennis courts are? I know those pickleball courts get used.
The tennis courts
Yes.
do
yeah.
get used.
Yeah.
They do get. I mean, I think they're down to 2 tennis courts, but one of them has pickleball lines on them with
Striped
portable
out, yeah.
nets that people put up. So that's like a flex court. I do know, like, we do get complaints from tennis people, like, we have nowhere to play.
Yeah.
So-
I mean, the courts at the high school are certainly available. And
Oh.
they're never full.
That's what we tell them too.
But the soccer field, is the whole space required? Or
Yes.
could some of it be used for a Little League field?
It is required for soccer, so I feel like you'd have to take away probably that whole use if you're going to put in a little league field. I mean, maybe there'd be a small
Which you
space
don't
for like
want to
really
do
young
because
kids.
they can't. I know they can't get on the high school fields to play soccer because there's just, lacrosse is going on 24/7 on those fields.
But the ticks are very bad there, and there's so many deer that there's always a lot of scat all over the field. That's another thing with the kids that they're always. We did try to help and put some deer fencing up a couple years ago, but
I said we played once and we didn't go back.
The deer fencing didn't work?
The deers mangle it for the if they just run into it, it gets
Jump over.
Yeah,
You gotta have
it's
really good fence,
yeah.
like 10 feet.
8 feet.
They have a lot of room to get
It
a good running
was.
start.
What did we do? Is it? I think it's at least 8 feet.
Yeah.
That fence. Yeah.
6 feet they go.
We put
You
it in
need, like, the ag
ourselves. It's
fencing.
expensive.
Yeah.
And it's just constant maintenance because they just constantly.
Need a door.
Or the other thing that
They
happens
graze.
too is when people are using the
Yeah.
field, they might hit a ball out into the wooded area, or the soccer ball goes out, and then they want to go get it, so they're like tearing at the nets and trying to get out to retrieve their balls. So that's another issue we see there also with the fencing.
I mean, we could speak with the soccer contingency and see, like, are you still heavily utilizing this field? I mean, I know permit-wise, it has a lot of requests that are put in. So I believe that they're playing there regularly, probably at least 2 or 3 seasons out of the year, because they're always hurting for space, the soccer leagues, because you need a lot of space.
One of the parks that's not on here is Iron Point Park.
Yeah.
I always thought
No.
that would be a
In that.
great soccer field /
Yeah.
baseball field if we could do some
People might
expansion.
use
We were
more
talking
if
about
there was a
making
soccer
that. We were
field.
talking about making that a full size baseball field so that the men's league could go there.
Yeah,
which would
that
free
too.
up which would free up Red Creek for the youth
I
leagues.
know the president of the men's league. They're looking for. They would
Yeah.
love.
I
would love to have them there.
I've spoken with them many times, and we keep trying to like figure out ways to do it. That was double. We do have some budget at Iron Point. We would need probably another $150,000 to convert that into a baseball field.
And soccer, is that possible? Like to make the outfield large enough to? Because
You
I
probably
believe it
could.
would be
It
used.
just probably wouldn't be like regulation. Maybe not necessarily regulation size.
I think we did it in Eastport. We have a really big field that we had designed that has a multi-use soccer field in the outfield.
I believe that would get a lot of
Let's
use
do
there.
it.
Yeah.
And get people into that
People
park.
aren't using it. It's a waste
Yeah.
right now.
And,
Make it
and that's
more
where
safe.
And it would free up
problems
time
come.
in Red Creek for the youth leagues.
Mhm.
Is there lights? Can you put lights in Iron Point?
There
There's-
are lights.
They're already there. That's a beauty.
But it would have to be expanded upon
Well,
because it's much bigger.
They're
field.
on the sidelines. They would have
Well,
to
that's the other
redirect
thing. I don't even know. We had looked into retrofitting, so they did seem to think we could utilize the
Yes.
poles that were there and that we could get enough light for what we were looking to do.
We'd have to go back and explore.
We'd
that with them
have to
again,
make
but,
sure, depending on what dimension we were going for now, but there were some, what were the land use permits that were needed that Tom?
Oh, we had to go for an erosion and sediment control permit,
Yeah.
which would require, well, no, not with the DEC, just with our own engineering department.
Oh.
We know how to do that.
What?
We know how to do that.
But no, I thought there was something else. Was it SWIFT?
Yeah, stormwater management, erosion
But
and
isn't
sediment.
that, I thought there was something with the council. But regardless.
We would
I
have
mean-
to, the goal would be, we would have to hire an engineering firm to do a SWIP plan, which is for the erosion and sediment control because you're clearing, if we were to expand the field, we'd be clearing almost 2 acres of land. So anything over an acre in the town's code requires a SWIP plan for erosion and sediment control. It's a pretty lengthy document that has to be drafted up and written.
How about Tom Houghton?
Tom
He's the
Houghton
one
wanted
who
us to hire an
approves it.
engineer to do it.
Oh, come on.
Well, maybe he's going to get some new staff, I heard.
If
So
he
maybe,
gets
maybe
staff,
he'll,
then-
maybe he'll have time to do it
This is
for
not
us.
this is not an impediment.
But that's something
No,
I think we
it
all
is.
We
want
can
to.
do it. That's not a big deal. I mean,
But that's
it's
something I
it's
think
just,
we all want to see happen, and
Yeah.
it's not a big
Yeah,
dollar
I mean, that's
amount
not a
because
big
it's
hurdle.
existing.
think
That's a
we
small
would-
cost to make it happen.
I think we would need what, like
We
a,
have, yes.
That's why you got this guy.
$5,000.
Yeah, exactly.
Are we saying convert the Little League field to a football field
Yes.
and add a soccer field?
yes.
Yes.
Like in Eastport, you're saying
Yes.
was a good example. I think we all want that then.
There's an active
Yeah,
men's,
and lighting, improved lighting.
there's an
Yes.
active men's
The
league,
good thing
based
about-
hardball league that operates on the South Fork, and they would love to include areas west, and then also include the North Fork as well.
Yeah.
And they would
He
play
he
at
said
that
he would
park.
definitely play there,
Mhm.
so it
Yeah.
would be a great anchor to have.
And
that'll
it would
help
be used.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that also would help the Maritime Park up there.
And it'd be nice to have people going there.
And I did speak with the men's softball league in Hampton Bays too, if they would ever expand into there, and they said that they would too. So we would get some regular use in there.
At one of the Franca meetings I went to, well, actually, it was the one about the ambulance. Somebody came up to me and showed me this whole plan that it was like I don't know if it was a wish list or who created it even, but there were so many
Skip Dean
features.
era.
Yeah,
The
and it
whole
was
site plan.
amazing what could be there. So
One-
maybe
one
I'll
thing
find
we-
it. I took a picture of it because I thought,
One
wow,
thing
we're
we
sure
need
we
to
could
do
dig it
is
out
we need
too.
to rebrand the park. Maybe like a new name associated,
Iron
like we
Point.
can name. Well,
Yeah.
I don't know. It just always has
I
a
think
hard name
rebrand.
to it. Maybe
Yeah.
I mean maybe we could say like, the nice
Well,
meadow.
if you're using it for a men's league, Iron Point Park, that's not so bad.
Right. Well, right. I don't know. I just think we need to soften the name
That's
up a little
Daryl's
bit. You know,
That's we're going to play ball at Iron Point Park.
right. Exactly.
Yeah. Okay,
I think we just need a
We
little
already
soft.
worked on
I
budget
think it
numbers
needs to be
on that,
softened
so
if you
that's-
wanted to keep it a kids park.
What month was that
Fair
meeting about the ambulance? Do you
Was
remember?
there February?
Right.
I think.
I keep
and
talking. I'm gonna.
Right.
Yeah, we can. Those documents exist.
Oh, you have
And
them.
no, I don't have them.
But you have to
They
be
have
careful because the people of Flanders might not want to change
Yeah, I mean,
No,
I'm
we can
I'm
leave the
just-
name.
We'll go out to the
Maybe we can give the field like a new name. Like we could be like the field, like name at Iron Point Park. Yeah, put that on a sign
All's
somewhere.
fair,
You know,
at Irons Point.
yeah, just soften it up a little bit. You know,
I always
don't
liked Iron Point.
it's a cool name. It's just I think it I don't know. It's hard. It's a
They
hard
used
name.
to dig iron out of the bogs.
Right.
Kind of cave. It's bog iron.
Yes.
That's where the name
Yeah,
comes
you were
from.
telling me that
Yeah.
the other day.
You know.
All right. Well, we will dust off those budget numbers and
We'll
put
bring
them
it to
back
the top
together.
again. Yep.
Yeah. Because we do have budget. We do have some budget there, so it
Yes.
would just be supplemental.
Right.
Good.
Yeah.
I know we had moved some money from that field to Hampton Bays as well.
Yes, that was CDBG money, but
Right.
we still have the bonded money there.
Okay.
I want to say to the tune of maybe 120,
130. Yeah, I think it's like
130.
120, 130. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So with another 150, I think we can make it happen.
We did some paving there.
Great.
Yeah.
I'm very
went in
happy
there the other
about
day.
hearing that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's a nice park.
Yeah,
It
gorgeous.
really
And
is.
it has a bathroom. I mean,
Yeah,
that's something we don't
it's
even have
not
at
like
Hampton
you
West,
drive
but we
in
have a
and you're
bathroom
like,
at
what is
Iron
this?
Point.
So-
Nice
There's
Well, I
a
can't
car
find
park
it.
there.
Well, that's one of the challenges
nothing
is
going
it's
on.
hidden and it's back in a residential area and you have to go down a long driveway to get there.
So you're gonna dust the numbers off on the plans for Iron Point, and then come back to us so we can receive.
Well, we're heading into budget season, so we should ask for that supplemental in the 25 budget.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sure.
And but I would say let's find that plan. I mean, even though we're not going to do it, but with that in mind, how would you configure this if we
Well, I
were
think
going
we
to
just
expand it
need our
someday?
own plan on making it work. You know what I mean? Instead of pulling out an old plan that might not
But
work.
that old plan had so many nice features to it. If we're just redoing that all of that area.
Oh, so you're talking about spending more than the $150,000?
No, I'm saying, but with an eye towards what if we were going to do that someday? Don't put the field this way if it wouldn't work with that,
Mm-hmm.
Since you already have a plan in the drawer, just let's see how
Certainly look at
Yeah,
it.
dust
this
it off.
would fit.
Might be a phase
into
one,
that
phase
plan.
two, phase three.
Oh yeah, it'll be multi-phases. There's a lot of
Yeah.
stuff on that.
Well,
plan.
long range, you think of the Riverside revitalization, it's gonna be even more of a demand for use of that property, hopefully in the near future.
But the
All
West
right.
Hampton,
Yeah,
I
we'll-
would like to really look at that.
Yeah.
Maybe scale it down and move some of the stuff up to another park where it's safer for ticks and more parking.
Yeah, let's see what
Just
as we get
just
to
leave
the end of
basics,
the
yeah,
list.
like a pickleball.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, why don't I pass over to you and let you do some talking?
Hoxabog?
Hoxabog is
Wait, just have that for a second. I handed out all my agendas.
sure.
Oh, there's one there extra. There's just take Mike's. Leave you with yours. I didn't know Mike wasn't here. Yeah. So our next project, that we want to discuss is the Hoxabog Golf Center. The town is, in full ownership of that property, as you all know. We currently have a CPF Water Quality Improvements Grant application in with CPF to hopefully receive $280,000 to upgrade the sanitary system there. The sanitary system that's there now is like an old, cesspool type system. It's block construction, and it's just not in good shape. There was a report from 2016 referencing that at that time the system had pretty much already, kind of failed and needed, was a candidate for replacement. So 8 years later, we are finally going to hopefully make that happen this fall. Future projects that we are looking to do there, parking lot improvements. So currently, as the facility grew over the years, they started doing a lot more camps and other types of uses, supplement to the golf course. But, they're doing summer camps with kids from the local community. And so the parking really gets very hairy there. It's very tight. According to the golf course management, there's been some fender benders there over the years. And it just becomes problematic when we get into the height of the season.
What do you mean by improvements?
Well, we want to expand the parking
it
area.
bigger.
So we would want to make it bigger. We've actually also looked at the possibility of putting a second entrance in, because the current entrance that's there now is like kind of really close to the building, and it just, every time I go there, it's always like a harrowing attempt to try to get out. And if you're trying to make a left out of there, it's a total nightmare.
It's very cost travel very fast.
Is it
Yes.
possible to get out to Town Line Road on the east side, or is that too far?
I think I would have to we have to look at the history of that, but I think there used to be a maintenance entrance, and I think that the residents that live along, it's not Town Line Road. Wayne-Scott Harbor Road. Is the road directly on the side there.
It's the other side.
So I think the issue there is that a lot of the residents don't like that idea of having people, exiting and entering onto their, kind of their residential street there.
Does that golf course pay for itself?
Oh yes, I mean we make a lot of money there.
So it pays for all this investment.
Correct. Yeah. So
I'm sorry,
No, go
it's
ahead.
revenue generating
Yes,
from
revenue
the two
generating.
licensing agreements we have. We have an agreement with the restaurant vendor and we have an agreement with a operations and management vendor. So those two uses there
Yes.
are pretty
profitable.
and also you have people coming for the restaurant, you have people dropping their kids off for golf camp, you have people there at the driving range.
So it'll pay for the roughly $2 million.
Yes, and we're asking. We've spoken with Dorothy. She's going to crunch some numbers as to what the debt service would be, depending on how much you guys. Well, that goes into probably the next topic, which is funding for it. There's also a park reserve fund in that part of town. There's park reserve funds all over town that comes from the subdivision, a portion of subdivision fees. That particular park reserve has a healthy balance, so we could potentially use a portion of the park reserve fee to pay for the capital projects there.
Because that encompasses what, area?
It's Sagaponack, Bridgehampton, and I think a piece of Watermill. Which part of it is the Burden property is in that park
So that's what I
reserve
was asking.
also.
Did they plan on money for that?
So
for the burden part?
I haven't heard from
Right.
Jackie yet. So I
could
want to say
see-
no, but if there is something we want to put there, like a restroom,
Right. That was the only thing I think.
CPF wouldn't be able to pay for
Kristen,
it.
those are separate park districts, Watermill and Bridgehampton.
Park districts, yes. The park reserve funds are drawn differently, though.
Okay.
So
how does that work? They're put together. I mean, Watermill and Bridgehampton Park Reserve Funds.
It's like it's a map, and there's different pieces of like the hamlet in these certain park districts. There's park reserves. There's 8 of them. There's 8 park reserve areas.
And they cross hamlet borders.
Yeah, so it's drawn differently than the park district map.
Okay.
It's a little confusing.
Personally, I think
because I know we drew down on the reserves for the Mecox.
Yes.
On the park district for Bridgehampton Park District.
No, we utilize the park reserve funds for that work.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that was my only question, was if that park reserve fund was being used for the comfort station. If there's a comfort station at the Burden property, then you wouldn't want to take this money at and use it as at a revenue generating.
Right. Since it is a revenue generating
I was gonna say
place,
the same
maybe
thing.
you don't take that
Yeah.
reserve money, or maybe you don't take as much of it to put into this project.
Put it with myself, like Cindy was saying, put it where a park needs it. With this one's making so money, let it pay for itself.
Yeah, exactly. So
Right.
that was like kind of the decision, that we would propose. Like you could potentially use this pot, or you could bond it all, and then it should pay itself back.
Yeah. So ultimately, we would look to keep almost $500,000 in that park reserve account, because that's kind of the number that we target for comfort stations.
Yeah.
And then we would take approximately $800,000 out of that account and pair it up with $1 million in bonding. That's our proposal. And that gives us a budget of $1.8 million to perform building renovations and the parking lot improvements that are needed there. Some of the stuff that the building needs, primarily the foundation is in terrible shape there. There's actually sections that are bowing, I think Matt
Sure.
can probably speak a
We
little
did
bit
a
about the
report.
conditions.
It's a concrete block foundation. It's cracked about the same level all the way around. Certain areas are going into the basement. The basement's actually used as the prep area, and there's issues with like head heights and that sort of thing. So the proposal would be to lift the building, demo the existing foundation, put a new foundation in that's poured concrete, reinforced concrete with the proper head height so that they could still use that for the prep area. Set the building down, and then a slight expansion. Like the building's pretty jagged when you look at it from the aerial view. So just a minor expansion, a few hundred square feet on the, I guess, the northwest corner in the dining room, just to try to make it, the bathrooms are not
To bring the
close
bathrooms
to
up to
ADA compliant, so bathroom expansion, so it would kind of even out that back area.
Matt, what would be the purpose of saving the building? I mean, it's a cute, quaint 1957 special building. That's it.
That's the purpose.
We
yeah.
could probably rebuild that pretty.
Could rebuild it, but not necessarily for the amount of money that we're talking about spending here.
Okay.
You know, if you had to demolish that building and completely start from scratch.
Yeah, what happens?
Length of the process.
Not
and
that
the
I
amount
want
of
to. I
money.
just know that. You know what that
And what
building
happens
is.
if you demo a building on a CPF property? I don't know.
Right.
So with the new basement, we would have to provide egress, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, they currently have egress out of there. They have an interior stair that you can use, and then there's a Bilco door.
You don't need an elevator?
Actually, it's not a Bilco door. It's a stair that goes up to a door.
Mhm.
So no.
And the septic system we're
Depending
putting
on,
in
the numbers of people that
would handle the restaurant.
Yes.
Yeah,
for the public.
It would be sized for that. The current system is failing, and they pump it out frequently. But the new system would be sized appropriately for the restaurant and for the golf pro shop use.
Okay, they do serve breakfast all day.
I eat
One,
there,
well-
I eat there once every 2 weeks or so. So I have a feel for the way it should be, the way that
And this
want to keep it.
This process started with the previous administration too. We've been talking about this for probably at least the last year. We brought it to the board's attention because the timing of this work is key. We are typically in long-term agreements with these vendors because the nature of what they do. So a restaurant vendor is going to have a long-term agreement typically because they're bringing in equipment, they're making investments. We are getting to the end of a license agreement with the restaurant. The current management company is in a 3-year extension right now. So the timing is right to get in there and do this work while we're between agreements particularly with the restaurant vendor. Because otherwise we're going to be in a position where
we may not have a restaurant.
We would have to try to maybe go out for a short term or tell them we're going to be doing construction at some point. So that's another reason why, aside from the building having a lot of issues, we had to put a new roof on it recently, which can get will stay in the project.
Right.
So that's something that won't have to get done.
Which is another reason why we are fighting to keep the building, because we've already put some substantial renovations above ground into the building.
Some HVAC investments.
Right. Yeah.
But
that makes sense. I had to ask,
Yeah. Right. Yeah. So we already put a new roof on the
Golf.
building. So that was about $100,000 to put a new roof on it, and that was a few years back. So we just. We don't think it needs a full tear down. We just think it just needs some attention to keep it viable.
Addition and a refresh.
Yeah.
So that's why we're trying to time this carefully to make sure that all these improvements could get done, and at the same time we go out for RFP to a new restaurant management.
Yes. So when the building is completely renovated, at that time we could go out for an RFP and hopefully enter into a long-term agreement with another restaurateur or the same one that's there if he's up to going on with us. But I know he's expressed some interest in retiring, and so he probably wouldn't be the next successor to that restaurant brand, but always
work
possibility.
with both operators to try to do all this without decent impact on them.
Right.
Exactly.
So the golf management will be in the midst of their 3-year extension, but we have told them that we would put them in a temporary trailer facility to still be able to run their operations. We're going to do this as much as possible in the off season. We intend to go in like September, October, and hopefully be done by Memorial Day weekend of that following year. So we're trying to make it as least affecting them as possible, but we realize there may be some things they have to deal with. So it is written into their new contract that they would get a credit of a certain amount each month that construction was occurring. So we have thought about that already.
Had a couple good meetings on it, right?
Yes.
We've-
Tiana Beach Pavilion. Well, why don't I let Matt handle this one?
We just recently finished the repairs of the temporary repairs of the foundation. So we supplemented some of the foundation. The southern pile line was basically deteriorating and failing, so we added another pile line outside of that and tied back some new girders to the system. So the building now is safe to use and occupy, but it's kind of at the end of its life. It was built in the early 60s and never had any significant improvements to the foundation. Throughout the years, I know the Parks Department has redone the floor joists in there and replaced the decking and that sort of thing, but it's essentially the same. I think it was built right around the same time that Ponquag was built. Ponquag recently, a few years ago, underwent a significant renovation. So this one, eventually, it's going to have to get shut down within a few years. So
Is that what the Ponquag cost, about $6 million?
Ponquag was less than that, but it was also maybe 6 years ago.
It was, around 2016-17 is when we went out to bid. Overall, I think that was in the neighborhood of about 3.2, 3.3 million.
No. So Ponquag was different though, because
Right, I was gonna say
Ponquag's foundation.
Yeah.
So Ponquag is set significantly back from the ocean, whereas Tiana has actually had the ocean, underneath the foundation, and the foundation piles have been exposed by different storms. So the fact that it's taken a beating more than Ponquag has, the Tiana foundation would really need to be replaced. And you'd have to consider whether or not you're keeping, the footprint right there at the ocean, or if you're
It's on the dune line.
retreating a little bit. Right, it's right at the crest of the dune is essentially, the edge of the deck. So it's seeing a lot more deterioration than Ponquag did. So Ponquag did not have a significant pile replacement when we did the project. We did a deck expansion. We did not do the sanitary system of Ponquag. Tiana should be done. So there's certain things that, even though Ponquag was cheaper, there were things that weren't done that would really need to be done in this building. This Ponquag was also, the building itself was basically renovated, or the three structures. This one, you should consider demolishing the structure and just building something new. So that's why
Moving it forward a little.
Moving it back off.
Right.
Off the dune.
Landwood.
I mean, in the 70s, you could park on the south side of the structure, and now the ocean is right there. So,
I wonder with the, maybe you could check with Gil on this, the fence mapping.
FEMP is coming through there.
Yeah, it's definitely coming through there.
Yep, it's part.
Interesting to see.
Yeah, so we do have the maps in the office, and we have looked at them. So it's not necessarily that we really need to do a full-blown retreat. It would be nice to actually keep maybe the deck in the area, but the building and sanitary system be pushed back towards the parking lot a little bit, something like that.
You have to think also 30 years from now, you want to put it back.
Right.
So in 30 years, you don't lose the deck, but not the building.
Right, correct.
Yeah, so it's a significant cost, but it's a well-used beach. It's basically the same size
It could
as
be
Ponquag.
more utilized. I think it would be more utilized if it was nicer. Everybody goes to Ponquag because it's nice and new and it is right over the bridge. But you know, things that could be thought about with Tiana too is, do we want to design it to have a food vendor similar to like a tiki hut, or you know, like what's at Mashup Beach or Cupsog? Those would be more revenue generating type facilities if you were allowing alcohol to be sold. Right now we don't allow alcohol. We didn't want it, the residents didn't want it at Ponquag, although it wasn't a huge margin, but in surveying we did, and in meetings, people didn't want to see, they felt it was more of a family beach, they didn't want to see that element. But also it's in closer proximity to the restaurants on Dune Road, so that was another consideration. We didn't want to interfere with their operations. Tiana's a little bit further away, but those are things just to consider, you know, as we plan and think about potential revenue sources and design that we would want. Are those elements we want to see?
Personally, I would stay with alcohol, because that whole stretch where that was a big drinking spot. And I think that we bought those property, the town bought those properties to get rid of the drinking problem, then just bringing it back.
But now
Well,
we
Summers
control
is
it.
basically in the, Summers is basically in the Western Point.
No, but I mean, there's also, I
Yeah.
believe Cooper's has alcohol, right, in Southampton
I
Village.
honestly don't know if
They
they
do.
do.
They do,
Yeah.
right? And it's not like a club scene. It's like you can get a glass of wine and a lobster roll. It's like,
I don't know if
it's
the hours
not-
are limited. Maybe
Yeah,
Well, I
and
think
it's
that
not-
that's a good point,
Stay
that we
till, like,
would probably not extend the hours into the evening
Right.
and stuff like
Yeah.
that.
Keep
Yeah,
it like
during the day only.
Right.
Yeah, there's definitely pros and
Very
cons.
fast.
It's more challenging
Very
for our
fast.
lifeguards, obviously, maybe dealing with some, you
Right.
know.
Maybe you just do after hours.
yeah.
Maybe it's not a thing.
It's just something,
Some
you
events
know,
or something.
I'm kind of planting to keep in mind, because we, you know, if we do move forth with this, as we're gonna need to, it's a lot of money, and it's just considerations that we'll have to think about. Also, do we want any type of camping there? That's been asked for in the past. Hot Dog Beach was looked at as a potential spot. I think there was actually site plans drawn, and it had gotten to a certain point, and I think halted.
A couple people complained.
Yeah, I think
That was the early 2000s. I
Yeah.
think we had done some plans for the town board at that point in time, but
yes.
Yeah, they
got
came
squashed.
to the trustees too at the same time,
Probably.
because we thought it was,
Away from it.
I think it's a good idea, but some of the people were complaining about it.
Right.
Because
But
it
if
is a
it's
large
run-
parking area. Yeah.
And sanitation systems, I don't know if it's still up to date, but it was there.
So we'd be
Yeah, no,
redoing.
We would have
those
to
are
get new.
very
Yeah.
outdated.
Yeah. But again, just considerations.
And actually that would take some of the pressure off the picnic area, because some of the people up there could go up there and day camp and off the back of their vehicles.
But this would be camping in the parking lot, not on the beach.
I would envision it in the parking lot.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
same thing. Well,
Actually,
they could-
yesterday
they
there
could-
was almost no beach. You know,
Mm-hmm.
the water was up pretty high, so you wouldn't be able to camp on the beach at all.
But it's just they're
Residents
losing
only.
more and more campsites to plovers, and
Yeah.
so having a spot like that
be very
on the
good.
beach, but not on the beach,
Yeah, close.
would be great for local
Yeah.
families.
Even if you have a
limited.
barbecue in the back of your truck on there, they can still go to the beach.
Residents only.
I think there would be such high demand.
Yeah, I would think you would
Yeah,
limit it to
you wouldn't need to
residents.
open it up.
Making it clear.
For the people that stay here.
But as we're, you know, marinating on these things, it's just things to keep in mind.
Yeah, good thoughts. So we
That's a
should
very
put,
good
you're gonna
thought.
put in the for a bond for the design.
Well, where were we on that? Yeah.
So do you want me to? Well, let's talk. Do you want to talk about?
Oh, did you
Do you?
on Iron Point? Did you give us an estimate of what you think it would be to convert the Little League field to the full field?
Probably
and
need
then
another
add the-
150.
Yeah.
Yeah, somewhere in
Well-
the neighborhood of.
And then to add the soccer field too.
Yes. We'll present that. Yeah, we'll present that as a capital request. We'll get the budget numbers tightened up on that, and then we'll present it to you guys as a formal capital request.
But I mean, what's your sense?
150
Probably
to
like
2.
150 to supplement the 130. So, maybe
'Cause we-
280 to 300 were like total, to the project. I mean, it shouldn't be absorbent cost because it's mostly just, you know, clearing trees, field work, some irrigation, lighting,
Fencing,
parking lot.
lighting.
right, enhancing the lighting that's already there.
You have to bump out
Yeah.
the dimensions of the field.
Parking lot.
But where
did,
do you mean in addition to what we already asked for? Because I didn't see that on
We
here.
we have $130,000 that was earmarked. What budget year was that? 2018.
It was a
Oh, you
yeah,
already have it.
right.
Yeah,
it
it's
was
sitting
for
there.
the improvement of the entry and parking lot. But what ended up happening was that CPF then ended up saying, "Oh, we can pay for that." So they ended up paying for the substantial portion of the work that went on in the park, and we ended up funding the portion that was like the roadway right outside the park. So that's why we ended up with so much money left over, and then we thought, oh, let's try to, maybe this is a good opportunity to bump out the ball field, and then that number doubled, and then we got kind of like, you know, a little bit stuck.
Okay.
So.
Right now, the children from Flanders Riverside, they partake in Little League in the town of Riverhead.
Correct. They're
So if we
in.
could do something there with
They-
that situation, that would help.
Yeah, I mean, it would be nice if they came back. Yeah, 'cause they folded into the town of Riverhead Little League system. I don't think it had to do with the park at all, because that was actually a great anchor at the park at that time, and it was well utilized. But yeah, it would be great to see activity come
Well, they
back.
have to pay out of town rates because they're not in the town of Riverhead.
Yeah.
They're right there.
Mhm.
Okay.
Do they use that field still for the little?
No.
No, we
It's a nice
tried
field.
to get them to practice there, and we tried to get East End Little League to practice in there, and there was some issues with that, with some safety concerns and things. So.
What was the Army point was that? Was that Park County? I still remember it when I was in the county.
Oh, you
being
mean
involved
prior
with
to CPF buying?
I'm not sure. I just remember when I was in the county, I remember looking at that property for the county for the town use, but
let's get the men's
county
league
being involved in
I think that would be a game changer there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And how many years do you think on the Tiana with these repairs that were done?
3-4 years, maybe something like that.
Yeah. And we're there often.
Very
Very often making repairs
repairs
to
will last for a
decking,
long time, but
siding,
the rest of the foundation-
drainage issues,
Yeah.
toilet issues.
They're predicting it.
You
maybe
can
some coordination
imagine.
with them. Good to see
We
if it has to move back or it has to be changed, there could be some.
We tried to get them. We put that project into them initially to try to get them to help pay for it, and they didn't include it. I mean, I'm all for
Yeah, no, we're still
all for
we're
trying to
still
get
in
what we
the
can get.
discussions on that. So
Yeah.
I would try again.
I mean, Fed will pay for other. You know, there are other property, private land homeowners if they have to move a structure or something. That's all part of.
I mean, it's
the
part of
damage
coastal
calculation.
resiliency. We could make that argument, right? That it's moving the pavilion back
to save it.
Saves
We
it.
will definitely have that discussion.
Yeah.
Spiel.
Last item on our agenda.
I love how everyone says it.
Spiel.
Well, you think of that when you're on the LA.
Yeah.
Oh,
How he says it.
I don't think that's the
Um,
name either, so just happened to show up on the plans. Yeah, well, that's far as the park.
we
What
we
about
didn't
it?
really name the park. We were just kind of going by the address for now.
178 Old Country Road, and then, you know,
Spion
everybody just
Covert
refers
name
to it as
Spion
Spion
Park,
Park.
you know, like
so.
code name, you know, on the files that say confidential.
So
So I just, before you start, I just want
Yeah.
everybody to look at the upper right-hand corner of the plan, where you can see how large this whole property is, and we're using that little bottom piece.
Yes.
And only using the bottom piece on the west or the left-hand side of the long strip. We're
Yeah.
not in any of that long strip,
No.
even down to Old Country Road.
That's
It's-
all not being touched.
Right, and it was, the intent was to try to stay within the formerly cleared area. That one little bump out that bumps to the west, that was formerly occupied and cleared. So the intent was to stay within that.
So we currently have approximately $1.8 million that has been budgeted over the course of a couple of years for this park. We've been asked to kind of figure out what, if anything, can we do with that money now.
Nothing.
Is that including
The driveway?
no the money that is on that we approved
Yes.
this year? It
Yes.
was like 500,000.
Yes.
Yeah.
So when you say we've already put aside 1.8, that includes the 500,000 that is going to be borrowed this year.
Yes.
Yes.
And that's why I said that the money, there's been money allocated to it, but it's like nothing substantial enough to do anything. So it's, yes, we've been putting money towards it, but not enough to do anything.
Yeah, so to do anything that would be worth doing, we're estimating that you would need approximately $5 million. This is a very conceptual design still. So we just, if you look at the second page, this is a full build out conceptual
This is 5
design.
million?
I'm sorry?
Is this 5 million or is this?
No, this is 5 million. This is actually 5.4 million. This is a
10 to 12.
10 to 12
that.
if we were to build now without prices
Right.
dramatically increasing. If we were to build now without prices dramatically increasing.
For the whole thing.
The whole
Yeah,
thing
yeah.
would be between 10 and 12 million to do the entire thing. All fields lit with lights, comfort station, playground, pickleball courts, basketball court, like everything that's shown on this one page. With current pricing would be between 10 and 12 million.
Now, if we were to just strip it down and this is what you would want to start with, we could reconfigure this. But we just essentially just pulled pieces out of the full design just to show you the type of things you would get for more in the $5 to $6 million range. And this is a multi-purpose turf field.
Why do we need this though? If we already have the field in Hampton West.
Because we don't have enough field space even with Hampton West.
Because you can't have lights and there's not enough parking and it's ticks.
And this is a turf field, so this can be used even when it rains.
Right.
It's just, I just have to say, I went to a CAC West meeting, and there was only one person at the meeting that was in favor of the park, and all the other residents there were saying, we don't want the noise, the light, the traffic. Why don't you fix the roads around here instead of spending money on a park?
We've gotten
and I'm just conveying it.
We've gotten 135 letters of support for this park.
For the Little League.
No, for the park. If you read those letters,
I
they're
read them.
also
They look like
for
all form letters.
but they're also for the turf field. And we've had the school, the West Hampton Beach School, which maybe it's worth reaching out to them because they were asking us about doing a field on
The
the Bauer property because they would like to offer field hockey, girls field hockey. They don't have field space. They're maxed out.
What's
and
that
so,
huge field right behind where the community center's going? It's like an
That's
open
West
field.
Hampton's. That's 3 fields, and they use every single one of them every day of the week.
But the school hasn't officially asked for this.
No, not for this. The
They've
school
required about the Bauer property. Okay.
about building another
Like-
field, and that's why
I've read the letters.
And that's why when they were here, it's PAL and the Police Athletic League and Little League. These are all leagues, and they're traveling to Veterans Park in Calverton. They're traveling to Brookhaven with their kids to play sports because we don't have enough fields in the town. And there is a study that Kristen presented us with that basically said the same thing, and that was done years
It
ago.
looked like the study said there are 21 fields east of the canal and 23 west of the canal.
That was including schools and
Many are public.
and like fireman fields and things like that.
But
so
we should. Why would we discount that? I mean,
Because they're not town facilities.
well, yes, and when they're in season, they can't get on those fields, so they get less priority, if any.
The
Like
fire-
Little League doesn't get on West Hampton Beach's high school baseball and softball fields.
Which fire districts have fields? Bridgehampton?
North Sea and
North Sea.
Bridgehampton.
Okay.
I think those are the only two.
Like we used to be able to play at the Air Force Base at Gabreski. They closed that field. We lost the field when Quag VFW moved.
That would have
we
been a
lost
good
that field.
purchase at that time for the town.
we're losing more fields than we're building. So I just know there's a lot of people in the community that have kids that rely on those PAL leagues and Little League for their kids to play sports because they can't afford the travel leagues and they don't have the time or money to participate in those travel leagues. And
Well, I think the other issue I've heard is, if I have a 5-year-old and an 8-year-old and a 10-year-old, I'm having to run one to the East Quogue Elementary School, one to the field in, like at Hampton West, one to the field at the high school, because there's not like a park that has multiple fields on it. Like even Red Creek provides that, where a family could be there and it's one facility. People are kind of like running all over the place because there's one field here, one field there. There's no like real home base. And
this isn't really a home. This is one field.
Well, it depends. Yeah, what you
start
want
with
to.
this.
It also has the 2 t-ball fields on the multi-purpose, so they could do t-ball there in Little League.
An alternate that we also talked about was the potential of not doing the multi-purpose field and maybe building 2 Little League fields to start with. I mean, this, we'll call it a menu board. We could interchange items and we could say, okay, maybe we don't need the multi-purpose field right now. We would rather have 2 Little League fields, So I think to look at this plan, I mean, yes, it's a full concept plan, but it could also be looked as a massing plan just to see what can fit there and what items can be, kind of menu boarded and selected.
And plus, this plan can be added on to make it look like
Yes.
Yeah,
this
so
plan.
that plan's not really an ideal standalone plan. And it's really like that because you would then
Eventually,
add the features
yeah,
into
exactly.
it.
Right.
But it could be made more compact, which would save some money. So compact everything that we have shown on like the quote unquote phase 1, and then phase 2, if it ever happens, would just be a different configuration than what you see with like the master plan. It might be a different layout because we don't know when that final phase would actually happen. So we could try to, but that's why it's kind of spread out. It's just a piece of the puzzle that we took out.
That's why I want to make sure that you don't have to redo something for phase 2.
Right. It was set up so that you could just add to it and you don't have to take something out to put something else in.
And we also did the phasing when we looked at it so that it made sense for construction wise and getting in and what you needed to do. And that's why the full parking lot isn't built out in phase 1.
Well, why not put the 2 Little Leagues where the turf was? If that's the phase 1, just put the 2 Little Leagues in the parking lot. At least you could have that for
Right.
the little ones. I mean, it seems like the overwhelming majority of the letters that came in were for people with children that wanted the Little League.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just,
And lacrosse.
I'm just thinking that look at, 5 million we need this year just for repair, 10 million just for repairs with, and now to say, let's build a new park before we even finish repairing the parks that we have.
So, everybody has a copy of the proposed 3-year plan for the Parks Department.
Yeah.
I cleverly called it the 555 plan. So in the first, it actually worked out nicely. Not fudging the numbers. So in the first year, well, I didn't. I just kind of sat there and I went, "Hey, actually, if we do it like this, it works
You have
really
too much
nice."
time on your hands.
No, actually, I did it like in not even like 2 minutes with Kristen in a meeting.
Well, except your Speonk one is 3.5, but phase 1 is 5.5.
Because
we already have almost $2 million in that. So that was the concept. So the 3-year plan that Kristen and I see as a potential way to lay out the costs over the next 3 years would be Poxabog being our priority because we based on the way that those license agreements are structured, we see that as being the time to act with that is now. So we would definitely want that to be included in our 2025 budget. The Red Creek Skate Park is something that, again, I don't know if it can go much longer, and I think at some point in the next year to 2, we may lose that, at all. It wouldn't be,
We wouldn't feel safe that we
Right.
could safely open it.
Correct. we'd have to condemn it at that
Yeah.
point. And I think that would be, that would be a loss to the community. Just town-wide, I think the community does want to have some sort of skate park, whether it be, in Red Creek or another location. So we definitely would want that to be included as part of our 2025 budget. Also, we've kind of, the community has been asking us, and we've been kind of promising them this, not promising, but telling them, yes, we're going to do something about this park. So they're waiting for it, The Hampton West improvements. So the next two items were the Hampton West improvements. If the board's appetite to move forward with Spionk was more of a priority at this point, then I would say we would put the Hampton West improvements to a later time. To Bill's point, would we look at potentially maybe not having a park at Hampton
Cutting
West?
some of the
Or
improvements
cutting
out of
some
there,
stuff down.
putting it
Not-
in
not-
Spionk.
What makes you think you're not going to have ticks in Spionk?
Not on a turf field.
Turf would.
Oh, building a
Yeah.
turf field.
Right. So we laid it out this way. This was the way Kristen and I felt would be the best way to attack the next 3 years of needs for the Parks Department. But of course, it's up to you guys to determine what the priorities are. So these items can be interchanged, but definitely the first two
Oxbow has
items
to happen.
are, in our minds, priorities. Then moving to the second year of this would be the 2026 budget. At that point, we would ask for the $3.5 million for the Old Country Road project, which is Spionk Park. Our thought behind that would be that it gives us another year to finalize the plan, get more input from the community to find out what they really need there, what they want there, use the menu boarding system to drill into, do we want 2 Little League fields? Do we want a Little League field and a multi-purpose field? So I think it made sense for us to say, let's give it another year, and then if the board's appetite to move forward with Spionk is there, then we proceed in the 2026 budget year with that being a major capital ask. In 2026, we would also request to do Tiana Beach Pavilion for design. So we want to ask for some money to get the design phase started with Tiana Beach. And then we were just saying there could be other park improvements at that point that we would ask for, smaller parks and things like that. And then finally, in the 2027 year, we would ask for the bulk of the rest of the Tiana Beach money with the $5 million. And at that point, in Kristen and I's opinion, I think that getting through the 2026 budget year, we've really attacked most of our problems that we have with our existing facilities, the major ones. And I think that's kind of what the whole point of this meeting today was to try to figure out where we need to be and what the goals need to be with current facilities and the future. So this kind of goes through current and then the future.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that with the Hampton West Park, that you have to improve it. People go there all the time to play tennis.
I agree. I
So
agree.
don't-
Yeah, I mean that's a fact. I mean, it's taking it away. I think would be a great loss to that area.
Defeats the purpose of
Yeah.
adding to what we need.
Correct. So, with your support, and I know these numbers are big. They're more than we've asked for in the past. But I really think that we need to make these improvements.
I like your 5 but if you add in the Iron Point Park, it's going to throw your numbers off a little. But we do want you to add that.
There's probably some other smaller ticket items that might add a little.
Well, what's this other park improvement?
That was the
Well,
IA
that's-
system. That's
that could-
CPF.
What was
right?
it?
The IA system.
Well, no. This in the 2026 year, we're guessing, not guessing, but we're expecting that there will be other medium lifts in these parks. Could be the Iron Point Park. Maybe we move that back to 2025. We just wanted to try to make it somewhat digestible and manageable.
Like a goal.
Like a goal, exactly.
Let's put Iron Park in 2025. See if we can make it work.
We can do it. It'll just be the 5.15
Yeah.
5 deal.
It's there.
What?
It's there.
Yeah.
It's a facility.
Yeah,
It's
I
there.
think
Let's get people there.
That's
It's
to me that's a
utilized.
small lift to get that.
That's only a couple $100,000, right? To
Yeah,
add to what we
it's a-
have. To
yeah,
make
it's a
the
small.
changes.
That's a small lift. and yeah, so I think that this is, I don't know, I think it's doable, but that's up to you. You find folks to figure out if that's doable.
Okay.
Well, thank you. This is exactly what I was hoping for.
Yeah.
Nice review of all the projects.
Absolutely.
That's it, though. No, there's no other projects.
Not that we can think of.
There's some other things we'll have to still discuss, but
You're welcome to.
yeah, I think this is a good big picture overview.
Yeah, very good. Well, thank you for
All right.
all you
Thank
do, and for helping to put some staff over at Wildwood. I read that you did that and keeping people safe.
Yeah.
I know it's not
It's-
easy to juggle everything.
I'll put them on
We
a
Seems
were all
to
like
help a
Franca
lot.
last night, if you want to talk about that. It's going to do that in updates, but.
You want to take it away?
Well, that will take care of it later.
But one thing I also wanted to let you know is that we have our first concert of the summer at Ponquag Beach on July 1st at 6 o'clock with Southbound. So if you're able to make it down,
A good band.
You want these back?
they are. It's,
No, you can keep that
should be a
if you
nice pre
Thank you.
4th of July get together celebration. So hopefully the weather holds out and it will be a beautiful evening there. So
July
come on down.
1st.
Yep. I also emailed you, all of you, the schedule for the summer at Good Ground Park and also the one for East Quad Village Green. They also have a summer
Yeah, we
series.
put those in the newsletter too.
Oh, good. And the sign, we have it. It may even be up as of now.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep. Okay. Well,
Press conference. in
Thank
the
you.
yeah,
morning.
I won't hold you any further.
Thanks
Oh,
for
is that
coming
right
in.
at the university?
Yeah, down at the heart.
Feel free to join us.
I think I'm hanging around
should-
though
yeah, we
to
should
see
go.
you guys in exec session.
Okay.
Oh, you are?
Yeah. Oh shoot, that's right.
That's all right. I can, well,
Okay.
right back.
First? Yeah.
I meant to tell you to drive separately.
No, I don't.
I don't even see it on here.
Well, it's the last one with Juan. I think it's actually there.
Yeah, we can do it first.
Yeah.
Hopefully
It's
it
quick.
should be quick. Yeah.
I already told everybody kind of, so we're.
Oh, okay.
Okay, see you in a
you.
little
Thank you very
bit.
much. Thank you.
Good to see you, Matt.
Thank you.
Does anybody have any updates? Quick speed talking. No. All
You
right.
gotta go for the press.
You've got to go, and good meeting. Thanks, everyone.
Yep.
I need a motion to close.
Take a motion to close.
We're going to exec.
Go into exec.
To go into executive session to discuss acquisitions and personnel.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.